welcome to another Tales of Altdorf City, Part 2. This one is going to be much like the previous ones, very much a sedate, gentle expression of this individual character's desires, hopes and fears for the city of Altdorf, in that he may not move at all. We're about to find out as Elrick joins the party! So, much like most of our Tales of Altdorf City Part 2, these, as I have described before, are not entirely planned. In fact, there's not really a story they're pursuing, an event that must occur. It's very much what do these characters want to do when they're in the city, and they get an opportunity to engage with it. On top of that, there's also other characters who may impinge upon them, as we will most likely see. Ooh. Right, so we're going to start off pretty much where we left off at the end of episode number 24. And at the end of episode 24, the barge had settled itself in at the base of the Imperial Palace, the great rock the Imperial Palace is built upon. And all of the weapons were getting carted off of the barge, well, carried off the barge, as the Rights Guard watched on, and Gausser somewhat petulantly had a discussion with one, moved off to another, discussed something with someone else, and then left you to your own devices. We will pick up affairs after the barge has already popped over the water to the other side, to the north bank, dropped into the long queues of other barges that are hoping to divest themselves of whatever cargo they may be carrying. From there will be a quick trip by Greta to the local Merchants Guild, where they're going to discuss what remains of the, I think it's just some jewels you've got left. I'm sitting on the barge after the
need to consult Lindsay's book.
Yeah. They
Not
can
that
worry
I have
about
any
that.
interest in that.
Indeed. And eventually, deep into the evening, as the sun is dipping down, the barge will drop into the Reichsport, where it's much, much cheaper to berth. If you berth inside the city, it could be gold per night, several of which, if you pop out to the Reichsport, it's going to be just silver on the open wharfs that don't require you to have the permission of one of the private owners, for example. And we'll start there, the following morning. Elrick, it's fair to say, has been through somewhat of a, to use perhaps an anachronism, a roller coaster of ups and downs over the course of the last so many weeks. A mixture of meeting people he knew, meeting people who were from his past, encountering all manner of, let's just sum it up with the word evil, and then coming to terms with the shades of grey that have come along with that. The fact that it's not as easy as black and white. And poor old Elrick has been left in a state of, I think discombobulation was a word that we used at some point.
Feels like that.
Not entirely sure who he is, where he is, what he is, and why he's here, and what's going on. It is, however, something that has not been unnoted. However, it's also something that no one appears to be particularly interested in raising for their own individual reasons. It's not like you'd expect Birdie to come over and go, hey, Elrick.
Once upon a time, maybe.
Yeah. Birdie's clearly at the moment quite scared of you because of all the dirty looks you've been throwing her direction. Gerhardt, it's fair to say, is not exactly the most empathic of people. Squeeze of the hand. She's unconscious! He often misses things that are staring him directly in the face. Amenowithe isn't human, so gets things upside down and messed up frequently. And then you've got good old Yume. She's a kid. She's not that much younger than you, but when you're that age, it's a gulf of time to a degree. And it's as far away from her responsibility as you can imagine. And Leopold, arguably the person who should be most aware of and conversant with the general mood of the party, so to speak, has also been dealing with a whole lot of personal shit. Not just the fact that apparently he glows now and speaks random nonsense. Not just that, because there have been a host of events that he himself had been in a position where perhaps you would have expected him to be the moral authority. And Elric has found him somewhat lacking in that regard, and has pretty much given him the evils a couple of times because of this as well. For example, back in Castle Wittgenstein, when there was clearly an issue with the peasantry there. At that point, you had no awareness at all that these mutants might also be cultists. You had no awareness. As far as you were concerned, these were just poor, disenfranchised folk. And the same was the case for the father. And what was his way of dealing with it? By ignoring it and going off and dealing with the defense of the castle. His preference was to not think about that too much because it clearly caused him conflict. Caused you conflicts also. Birdie dealt with that in the most bloody of ways. Birdie broke. And the tales that Elric has been brought up on of wizards breaking because of the death that they are responsible for inflicting or because they have seen things that are terrible. He saw it in real time. This is a story made manifest to him and potentially his own fate. And that, again, is just something to leave him in a position of discombobulation. Unsure, how do I move on? He felt like he was almost grounded back in Ubersreich. He had been in a pretty bad place and he secluded himself, sat in the wood, grounded himself again, came out, and beyond a couple of somewhat, let's say, personal issues, meaning that he definitely didn't pursue relationships, for example. Let's call them personal issues, which left him feeling somewhat, let's say, ungrunfeld in his particular circumstances. He was actually in a pretty good place there. He
made a friend.
Yeah, totally. It was a pretty good time, and then out you come, and it was started well, and then it all kind of went a little bit complicated and hard. And Elric's a young man. He's never had to deal with any of this before. And he's never had to deal with a world that's not just blow the fucking thing up, which is what he's been trained to do for too much of his life as far as he's concerned. And it's left him in a difficult place, which has often left him in turn in his cabin. Thinking, meditating, thinking, meditating, doing what he's been trained to do, looking at his spells, going through his spells. And for all, the vast majority of the ship are caught up in their own shit. One person isn't. And in the morning, after breakfast, after a relatively loud breakfast, as it's dropped off, bless her, there is a gentle knock, knock, knock upon his door.
Hello?
And a voice from out with, hello, morning. I don't know if you bothered waking up yet. I don't know if you are awake yet. It's Greta. I'm Trot. It says, but it's an absolutely marvellous sunshine day. This is really awkward. I don't talk to you very often, but I think we need to talk. Can I come in?
Yeah, come on. Door's open. Well, not really much of a door, is there?
As she looks around. I expected you, of all people, to have more than just the hammock.
Why?
That's a good question. Have you considered going up on deck? Get some air.
So how early is it?
Oh, it's now mid-morning. We're probably talking about 11.
You would have been upstast, I imagine,
already. Yeah, he'd been up a couple of times.
Yeah. I always get up. I'm usually the one after the father. He's always up first thing.
Just making sure you're getting some air. I'm normally with Sigismund at that point.
I sometimes hear, yeah. Good
Right.
set of lungs on in that lad.
She smiles. Yeah, he's going to be strong, I think. I hope so. Never can be certain. He's going to be stronger being here than he would have been if he was at home. Almost certainly killed. Which I suppose actually speaks to a little bit of why I've come over here in the most uncomfortable fashion. I feel uncomfortable with this, but I don't think anyone else is going to talk to you, so here I am.
Well, do you want to sit on the hammock? I'll stand.
No, I think I'd rather go up on deck.
Oh, all right. Go on.
Just because we can then sit and we don't need to be standing or looming over each other.
Right. How tall is Greta?
Greta is, I believe, 5'3".
Okay, so he does slightly loom over her.
Particularly if she's sitting down on a hammock.
Yeah.
As she says, right, I don't want this to be awkward, she says as she moves up the stairs. It's just, I think that somebody needs to talk to you and nobody's talking to you. And I tried to bring it up with Alamenawife, but she had her own problems and she wasn't having any of it. And she's an elf. She says, I don't know how well you know elves. I know elves really well. Really well.
I know Al, and that's about it.
Like she was weeping the other night.
That's...
Yeah, she thinks you hate her. And it's taken its toll. So that's not what I'm actually going to talk about. She thinks everyone hates her at some point or another. She's an elf. They have a different grounding point to the rest of us when it comes to their feelings. And they're very used to dealing with their own people, but not the fast, changeable rate of emotions that we go through in a very short period of time. They tend to be deeper, more consistent, and they don't deal with human humour frightfully well.
Right, no, she's not that much fun, is she?
She thinks she is. And I would actually say that she is. It's just she expresses it in a different way. Most normally in inns and clubs. She says, but not when business is needed. She is who she is. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm not even sure why I'm going to ramble, aren't I? It's fair to say that the sun is indeed blazing. Up above, Actually is flowing gently upwards towards the sun and the heat that lies there. But all around him, the wood is absorbing heat. People are clearly absorbing heat. The temperature is high, and that in turn causes a certain amount of friction in the air, a pooling. The Actually itself settling in on almost anything, the metal around him, gathering chunks of Actually. It's a hot day, and that brings both advantages and disadvantages. Advantages should he be ready to start throwing fireballs, because there's a lot of his wind around him. Disadvantages if he's looking to keep himself in line. An influx of Actually can change his temper. It can change his mood. It can change how he feels about everything, and being down in the barge is, on a very hot day, probably preferable, but it's not that hot.
Mm-hmm.
It's warm enough that it's a good summer's day. It's not sweltering. It's not fever pitch where all the bright wizards are beginning to get a little bitty. No, you're nowhere near that, and this doesn't in any way make him feel uncomfortable. It's just there's a lot more of his wind around at the moment. And to a degree, that also makes him feel comfortable, because there's a lot more of it around, particularly with the strong wash of Gyron moving down through the Reich as well. There's a good mixture of everything for him around. As she moves over and says, right, I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to say this, because no one else is going to say this. And direct is the way I have been trained to deal with everything. I don't know what you know about me. She says, I have been responsible for the... Let's just bluntly state it. I worked on behalf of my father's mercenary companies, representing their affairs with a variety of nobles across the old world. I have travelled extensively. I have seen war and bloodshed for most of my life. I've seen people like yourself, not like yourself. You are a unique individual, just like everybody else is a unique individual. But I have seen wizards of your ilk. I have seen many people who have struggled with the position that they're in, and you're struggling. And no one is bringing this up because, well, I've spoken to Gerhardt, and there is an issue that is about to raise between you and him that I don't necessarily think you see incoming. I've been brokering a marriage between him and Lady Wittgenstein.
That's his business, though.
Yes, well, it could possibly cause a significant issue for yourself.
In what way?
You have not disguised your feelings, and that is the issue. And no one's going to bring this up, apparently. Oh, he might have tried to bring it up in a pally way, but the second you said something like, it's fine, he would accept it, which I think we both know is nonsense. This needs to be confronted as directly and as clearly as we can, so that you can state your issues, we can resolve them and possibly move on, or possibly not. Gerhardt had issues with me. Most of them weren't really with me. They were with his circumstances, with the family, with everything else. I'm married to his brother, and he didn't like that either. The fact that I'm lovers with Almenowite, he doesn't like that either. The fact that he effectively proposed that he father a child with me, he didn't like that either. The fact that all of these circumstances concerning our families are complicated, and he has been brought up to hate the Trolls. He doesn't like that either. But he also doesn't like the fact that he has become a judgmental person, that is not making decisions based upon fact, but based upon his feelings. He doesn't like that. I represent most of these things, which means I am the source of a great deal of desire. We've discussed it out, and he recognizes that perhaps he is being unfair. I will add a strong perhaps to that. But He charged me with organising the marriage between him and Lady Wittgenstein, and it is going to go well. She is conversant of exactly what the advantages are, and they are surprisingly well matched in terms of temperament. They're both odd, unique in their own way.
It's one way to describe both of them, I suppose.
Yes, and I do say odd. They both have very pressing concerns, which neither party finds particularly noisome. The chance of her marrying anyone in the Empire, unless she is in complete control, is almost nothing, and equally, given his current circumstances, he's in a very bad place. She is a very good match for him.
What does he stand to gain? She has no land, she has no... Her father is a cultist.
Yes,
If
well,
it's discovered, will the lands not be taken?
It's not quite that easy. Nor is it really your problem. And I think that is why I'm here. Because I don't know if you want it to be your problem or not. I understand most people on this barge and why they're doing what they're doing, but I don't understand you. Mostly because we haven't talked, if I'm honest.
That's fair.
And that's because you present this wall as who you are, and I don't know where that wall has come from. But recent revelations have made certain things clear. That you're as troubled as everyone else. You're just coping with it in a different way, and often by blaming others for your own circumstance that has nothing to do with them. So you judge them for their choices whilst not judging yourself. I understand that. I've done the same thing. My father has done terrible things, and I have represented my father, so thus in some respects I have done those terrible things. I have a great deal to blame him for, and I have taken out my anger for my circumstance upon others around me. I gave up on that when I was in my early 20s. But I still have a certain amount of resentment within me. Gerhardt, to me, was a release from that, but it turns out it wasn't even Gerhardt. I brokered a marriage with his brother to get away from much of that, but that turned out to be somewhat based on lies as well. We all find ourselves in difficult circumstances. My question for you, which I would like to, without any intent to annoy or to create any form of enmity, is why are you here?
It's better than being somewhere else right now. If you said you've worked or been around people of my ilk, they're not very nice people to be around. They're useful, but not very nice to be around. And was it really my choice of where I ended up?
Do you want to be here?
I think this group here are fighting for the right thing, and I will try and fight for the right thing as long as it is what we're doing.
I ask this because there are multiple places you could fight for the right thing. I know why everybody is here. I know why our Menowith is here. She is pursuing prophecy, a prophecy that she believes is true. Whether it is or not, I cannot say. But I understand what she is doing. Her motivations are very clear. She's old, and she has ruined her life to be here. And my father enslaved her. You might not know that. Elves are difficult to enslave under normal circumstances, but my family has got access to certain herbs that elves find. Well, to give it its most blunt of terms, elfnip. That is common parlance, and they have no idea. It's often called elf slip or equivalent. It grows in the mountains where I come from, and my father addicted her to it. Not that she knew. She was living in a fugue state for some time. My father enslaves elves frequently, uses them for his own purposes. He is a man of very little moral compass. But as far as he's concerned, he's doing the right thing. We have elven slaves.
How has that not brought more trouble than it's worth? Do the elves, the people, not know themselves?
No, they don't. They become absolutely addicted to the nip.
But their kin don't miss them.
Well, of course, that might occur, but you must realize human lifespan is short. The time that they are gone, is to them almost nothing. 10 years, 15 years, and they'll probably be dead by the time they finish their duties. He enslaved her. She got out because of her master, not that she knew. And to this day, I'm trying to wean her off of it. If my father calls, her first thought would be, yes, I must go. So, I understand why she's here, and I understand the dangers that she's in. Birdie, I understand completely. She's made her position very clear. She wishes to kill cultists. She's also a spy on behalf of someone else, and she's spying on Gerhardt.
Well,
She doesn't want to be.
She said she's not anymore.
No, she said she is. She absolutely said she is, and I don't think that you should try to get any illusions that she's not. She has masters. Those masters she has to be broken of, and the same with Almelite has my father as a master, that needs to be broken. Birdie does not wish to be under those masters, but she is. If they call, to refuse them will be her death, and she knows it. So she will answer the call, and she will begrudgingly give whatever they ask, but she's in a very difficult position. Some of us are. I understand her. I've known her in different guises, obviously not her, but people in her situation. My father deals with slaves. She is a slave. She has a slave mentality, and she's looking for a new master. And as far as one can tell, she has transferred her allegiance as much as it can be to a different party. In this case, one presumes, given what she said, Emmanuel Nacht over in Oberstreich, which could be worse, but she is the Imperial agent of the Emperor himself, so who can say whether that is a good thing or not? But she is always going to look for someone that she can turn to. She's never going to be the person that takes leadership, because it's not in her nature. I understand why she's here, though. I also understand that we represent something that allows her to break free, and she knows it, and that to her is a far more powerful motivator than almost anything else. Understood. Gerhardt, victim of circumstance. An absolute victim of circumstance. And he has been seeking his father's approval his entire life. He is a weaker, slower example of his older brother, but so much more intelligent. A fine mind, one of the sharpest, utterly incapable of leadership, as I think we can all agree. When he's put in a position of leadership, he will often immediately say, right, let's take a vote. He wants to divest leadership from himself. You, of all people, can see that. I see your frustration. You have been brought up in leadership and then brought up to be a leader before that, by your own admission. So either you're a leader or alternatively you're expecting leadership and he's not providing it. That provides you with difficulty, provides him with difficulty as well, because he expects that he should be the leader and he's not. Leopold, the exact opposite, wants Gerhardt to be the leader, yet constantly frustrated whenever Leopold is confronted with a choice from Gerhardt that's contrary to what he would prefer to happen. So he sits there and he almost sulks, because he knows that he's supposed to support his lord, but he can't. So he frowns and he throws passive-aggressive comments in an attempt to try and guide him through another route, rather than doing what needs to be done, possibly just take leadership. He's older, he understands what's going on, he has a sense of right and wrong, but the problem is, as I think was demonstrated by yourself, when he is pursuing something, he often forgets what's right and wrong, so convinced that he must be in the right because he's blessed. And that in and of itself causes problems. He's perhaps perfectly placed as an advisor. That means that when he goes to perhaps his darker side, then he can be told, I understand what you're saying, but we can't do that. And then we have Yume, someone who has been brought up to be quiet and escaped from that life, and now seeks desperate self-determination and her own family and validity, which, if she finds them, will almost certainly turn into servitude, as she returns to being the doll that she once was. I've seen her in court. I have watched her, behind her parents, say nothing for 4 hours. She was a child then. I would never have recognized her, but I know who she is because I know who her parents are. She's no leader. She doesn't know what she wants, but I can say for certain, I know why she's here. Revenge. I could argue that's exactly the same reason that Gerhardt's here. Revenge for what has happened to their life. I mean, I can see why everybody is here, even Lucas. But you worry me deeply. You worry me very deeply because you're hanging on by the various tenuous of threads. And I see everyone else's motivations, and they're all pushing towards the same point. As the sword thrust is driven forward, they will all be pushing it in that direction, where you probably only would if you were told to. And even then, you might look at them and say, I'm not sure this is the correct decision. It's concerning because, at the very least, Lady Marguerite intends to go to the Amethyst College in 2 days' time. I know you intend to go in that direction also. Can I trust you with her?
What, you think I'll try and kill her?
No, you might just try to get her arrested.
Well, yeah, fair.
Yeah. I think it's a fair response as well. She currently has no remit. It would be almost impossible to see her charged with anything. She's noble. But there would be those who would listen. I don't know if you've been out in the street yet. I imagine you probably haven't if you've been down. It's somewhat febrile out there.
Aye, I've seen the pyres. I've seen.
No, it's worse. It's worse. I took a small walk this morning and I came back immediately. I'd already been out to the Merchants Guild yesterday, and the Merchants Guild no longer allows any Middenlander or Middenheim traders. Because Altdorf should be for Altdorfers.
It was never a nice city in the first place anyway, so...
And well, they've all heard the word of Sigmar. And as far as they're concerned, that means that their personal views are correct, because they heard it.
So Leopold's, it was heard all the way here as well?
Oh, it was.
How was it heard beyond?
I don't know. But I do know it's had a certain... When I got out of the Merchants Guild, there was fighting between some Midlanders and some local youths. And according to the broadsheets I've received this morning, there's been several deaths across the city. Several. Bodies are beginning to pile, mostly of people who are not born in Altdorf. Although, yeah, and that also includes your people. Talbotlanders are now being targeted, where yesterday it was Middenlanders, and they will continue to go until it's just the Reichlanders left for Reichland, one presumes. There is a strong sense of Sigmar has given us the authority, the right to be the hammer, to purify things, so to speak. And that's just now. That you would certainly find someone who'd be more than happy to kill a witch, regardless of what your personal feelings are on that. And you'd equally find someone in the watch who they'll be almost certainly be willing to pull them in and almost certainly do inflict terrible crimes upon her in turn. Now that might not rest well upon you, but if you did the right thing, you might be able to turn a blind eye like Leopold did. And that terrifies me because she's a vulnerable woman. She has done dark, awful things. But she has done them all in the name of Sigmar and the Emperor. She was charged to do this in her youth and has not had any real ability to do anything else. She was taking what she believed to be the worst example of people and trying to use them to the benefit of the Empire. I had a conversation with her yesterday, and I was looking to understand her motivations and trying to understand where she was coming from, because I also thought she might be a problem. Turned out, I don't think she's going to be a problem at all. She's just going to sit studying books. She's, if anything, the biggest problem with her is going to be motivating her to do anything other than study books and understand things. I was speaking to her, and she thinks that, morally speaking, she was in a significantly better place than you are. And I had to try and understand this, because I couldn't. And she said, at its simplest, the souls that she was... I'm going to use the word experimenting. She didn't, but that's what she was doing. She was experimenting upon them and using them. Were damned, meaning that they were destined for an eternity of torment, an absolute eternity of the worst torment you can imagine. And she was saving them from that with a lesser torment and putting them to use before eventually their souls may move on. But she was doing everything in her power to ensure they didn't, by effectively patching them together with something else to stop their souls moving on and empowering that which lay beyond. Because that's how she saw it. She would be providing extra power to that which lay beyond if she killed them. And she believes that burning someone alive, for example, in short-term torment and then long-term permanent torment, and then enhancing the other side by allowing that soul to bolster the enemy, is far worse. And I was like, I understand what you're saying, but I think that you have somehow I didn't want to challenge it because I think that's how she, in some respects, mentally coped with the horror of what she was daily confronting. Everyone has their own method of dealing with things. So that left me feeling good towards her, but here I am now, attempting to patch together something so that she's not going to be in trouble, attempting to organize a marriage for her and him, because he's going to need one apparently. Well, I know. She does. His nan is... I know who she's going to marry him to, and I don't think he'd be happy at all. Nor do I think it'd be a very good match. It'd be a terrible match, actually. That doesn't matter. I don't know if you... The problem is that he would think it was a good match.
Right. Very attractive, probably.
She's pretty.
Yeah.
But she...
He's smart, but he's not smart at the same time.
Yeah. So what do we do with you? What do you want? I can organize anything. That has been my job, facilitation. If there's something you need, I can do that. If you don't know what you want, perhaps it's time for you to sit down and decide what you want, because if you're staying here, what's your purpose? If your purpose is just to throw fireballs at things, anyone can do that. Now, gods, be my witness. Verena, stand upon me and lay the sword of judgment above my head while I say this. I don't think there's anyone else better placed to do that than you. But that's because you're as broken as the rest of them. In your own way. Which means that you have mutually assured destruction with the various secrets that you all keep. But that also terrifies me. Because if your moral position is so high-minded that you're not even capable of realizing how little difference there is between you and them on a day-by-day choice-based situation, then you might make a terrible decision on their behalf. And that worries me significantly, especially because I am beginning to believe that Amenawith might be correct. And that, for me, is, in and of itself, a ridiculous thought.
What, that I hate her?
No, not that. No, that we are going to be at deep and significant war within the next decade. Now, I don't like the term end times. To me, it sounds ridiculous, but the idea that there is going to be an attack from the north seems not unassailable, but given everything that she has laid out as the possibilities, seems almost likely.
I mean, 2 years ago, would you have said that the Emperor would move against Ubersreich?
No, none. I've never have said that.
Something's happening in the world,
and
whether it's from the north, whether it's elsewhere. We're in a time of change.
It's terrifying, isn't it? And the realization that apparently this was known centuries ago, 2 centuries ago at least, is also terrifying. The fact that she foresaw this almost 400 years, 500 years ago, before the last incursion, and it's been worrying her that entire time, that also terrifies me. It feels real. I want to make what little of my life I can. I want to. And that means on the bluntest level, I also want to have fun before I die. Because I'm going to die. I don't want my son to be dead within the next 5-10 years, but if he's going to be, I'm going to protect him every last moment of my breath. I mean, I am worried about you, is what I'm trying to say.
No, but what you're saying, what I'm hearing is you're going to fight.
I'm going to fight with the last breath I have, if I have to. What else can we do?
That's it. Give up or fight.
Well, quite. And where are you in this?
Have I stopped doing that?
Yes, but where? It doesn't need to be here. If the fight is everything to you, there'll be many fights available. Does it need to be here? You are clearly uncomfortable. It's going to get worse. And I don't want to say that to terrify or scare you. I want to say that so that you actually think about the ramifications of your choices. Because what Lady Wittgenstein has done is, to many minds, absolutely unacceptable. To most, in fact. We're going to encounter worse. You might be on the side of worse, because the alternative is even worse. And much like Magnus before us, assuming anything we've learned is true, there are going to be choices which are just both unacceptable, but choices have to be made, or we will be stymied. We will be stuck. We will be incapable of doing anything, and through doing that, we allow the alternative to win, and we can't. We have to make hard choices. One thing my father does with exceeding clarity. He's also terrifying because he does it with exceeding clarity. And his clarity is somewhat alien to what most people would consider to be acceptable. It's why he makes such a strong ally for Gerhardt's father. He will do the unacceptable to get the win. It's all about what is his motivation. And for me, I'm concerned that his motivation is just simply winning. And if that is the case, well, that's just as bad as the rest of this. So where are you? Gerhardt is here. But Gerhardt has pursued the most ridiculous of goals, but he has done it for a reason. And I find this admirable, particularly admirable. He wants to be a doctor. And his reason for wanting to be a doctor actually touched me. It's because he wants to help. He looks at the rest of his peers that are around him and he realizes that he was not the great fighter. He was perhaps a great mind, but he recognized his own fallibility. He recognized that he often made poor choices. He also recognized he was also crippled by self-doubt because of his great intellect. He could see too many alternatives to the problems he saw before him. And thus, choosing one of them was too awful for him, because he could see how they could all end terribly, and why choose a terrible outcome? So he chose something different, and that was to help. It was, I thought, exceedingly admirable, and also almost selfless. Most men in his position would have instead took up the sword. I require a blade. I must be better than the evil that I am going to confront. But he has chosen a different route. And Shalia has quite literally blessed him, I think. Blessed him with an insight that no one else here has. Where are you?
You've said a lot of the word choice. I've not made many choices in my life. I've not been given the opportunity to make choices. You've heard me talk about Maven, probably. It seems everywhere I turn, if I think I'm going left to go when she wants me to go right, well, there's someone who's expecting me. I've not made the choices. I'm trying to understand what choices I have.
Right, my first instinct to that is, doesn't matter. I'm somewhat similar to yourself. I've never had any real choice. Everything that I've done has been allowed and sometimes disallowed. Every choice I've made has been actually made by my father, right down to my marriage. I had to seek his permission first. He doesn't know the reason that I chose the direction I chose. I gave him a very different reason, and he very much approved of that different reason. But nevertheless, I've had little in the way of choice. Amenaweth, to a degree, is one of my only choices. And that was, to begin with, purely because I recognized her for what she was. My father had talked of her. Somewhat gleefully, I would add. And it was my small moment of freedom. Split something that had already been built. Plus, I like elves. I've grown up with elves. We bred our own elves.
Bred them?
They're slaves. It's an uncomfortable position. It's what my father has installed.
They spend their entire lives. An elf's life.
Amenaweth has noted that there may be some issues my father has not expected in this, given that elven children are not like human children, but he's treating them like them. They're very, very different. I'll give you a single example so you can realize just how much my father has on side that he does not generally divulge. He trades with the elves from across the ocean, slaves mostly, those who've been captured in war down in the south, and then they're taken over to our holdings in Estalia, and we have a yearly trade with elves for slaves. And he captured one of the elves. Captured would be an inaccurate description, truth be told. It would be more tricked. And then got her thoroughly addicted to the petals. Now she's his pet. She's over 1,000 years old. 1,000. And will do anything he says just to get her next petal. A fugue state, almost permanently. A sorceress of extreme power. Just sitting there, looking like one of his servants. Looking no different to any other elf you might encounter. But there on purpose. He uses her occasionally at war. Very few expect a 1,000-year-old sorceress to suddenly be there. And this is not done with magic. And that is one of the elves' great weakness. They expect and look for these magical tricks. They don't expect it to be as simple as something like a petal. That's all it is. It's not the first time it's been done. My father found about it relatively recently, only back before. He must have been in his early teens when he first found out about it. Our family had enslaved elves over 1,000 years ago. It was in our records. But it's why he went north and took part in the Nordland expeditions when Middenheim went to war with Nordland.
Right.
To try and recapture it. He was looking for the elves. So I bring up all of this to say that nothing is quite as it appears, and we're going to find deeper, terrible, more awful things as we pursue our various goals. If you wish to be here, as it's a better alternative than anywhere else, and at least these people accept you for who you are, then I have two broad recommendations. Firstly, make up with the people that you're going to have to rely on in battle. You're a very young man. I don't think you realize how intimidating you can be with your shoulder when it is cold. Amenawith cries. Actually cries. She is so concerned as to the nature of the relationship that you have. I console her. She gets over it. Well, never really. She's an elf. They don't get over anything. She is quite convinced that this is the case. Birdie will do the opposite. She'll ignore you in turn. And that could be deadly. You can't allow that to stand. These are not just your comrades, these are the people you're going to be relying upon when it comes to some very difficult situations you're almost certainly destined to encounter. And you don't want a moment of hesitation.
I don't think you understand me. I don't hesitate.
Yes, but they might. It's not just about you. It's about them. They might be scared to support you. They might not be sure how you'll react. They might hesitate before reaching out a hand because they fear that you might not grip it. You can't live like this. You can't allow your stubbornness to get in the way of what is almost certainly going to be your life, their life, perhaps. You either have to learn to find a way to get over that bloody-minded, bright-wind stubbornness that plagues your college, or alternatively, don't, but realize that you're setting yourself up for extreme difficulty and discomfort for everyone. You don't need everybody here to feel uncomfortable when they've got difficult decisions to make. Now, it's fine for them to feel uncomfortable because matters are uncomfortable, but not simply because you think they lied and thus you don't want to talk to them anymore, when you were simply doing the same thing yourself. You can't blame them for your own choices. You can blame them for theirs if you wish, but they're no different to yours. They all had their own reasons at different points, as did you. Amenawith tells me that you only admitted who you were when she approached you. You wouldn't have done it yourself. You didn't do it off your own back, even.
No. That's death.
Exactly. Exactly. And for them it was the same, yet you blame them for it. It's a difficult position for you to be in, but I think it is potentially a deadly one that you don't perceive as deadly. Now, you might nevertheless harbor these deep grudges if you wish, but these deep grudges are going to possibly kill you. And as far as I'm concerned, it's my job to try and facilitate a better outcome. It's my job. I facilitate things. I'm a diplomat, I suppose. I was a diplomat on behalf of my company. I was a diplomat on behalf of my father, and now I'm a diplomat on behalf of the Jaegers. Let's say it's that. It's my job to try and make sure that you're not going to accidentally stab each other in the back. And I'm very concerned that you are setting yourself up for this. I'm also concerned that you are blaming them for yourself, which is foolishness. And I think you know it too, which is the worst part of it all.
Very perceptive.
Well, that is also my job. My job is to find the liars, loosely, who are not going to fulfill their particular obligations when it comes to a deal.
I don't imagine you could throw a rock on this boat and not hit a liar, but...
No, of course not. But that doesn't mean we need to begrudge that. We've all lied, each of us, I have, so many times, for what has been to us individually, personally, very, very good reasons. Amenemythe is religiously required to lie. That's the best way I can put it, in the same way that Father Leopold is religiously required to defend the Empire. I don't think you blame her as much as you once did, but you are blaming Birdie.
She was my first friend. Well, outside of the college, she was my first friend. It hurts that she couldn't tell me. It hurts me I couldn't tell her. But she was only at risk from me knowing, not everyone knowing about me, if that makes sense.
Yes, of course. I can't actually understand how much danger she is or is not in. I don't fully grasp her terror, but she's terrified. I imagine as you are terrified to be uncovered to be, well, actually a heretic, I suppose.
So they would claim a witch.
Quite. Well, you are. She is more terrified of that. More terrified. She's not someone to show a great deal of terror, but she's clearly terrified. She has nightmares most nights. She sneaks in our bed sometimes. And she shakes, she shivers. And the noises that come out of her are unfortunate. Well, neither of us say anything. Amenemythe barely sleeps anyway.
No, it's just kind of
exist. Yeah. I've got a theory on it regarding the winds of magic, which has been developing over some time, that they actually subsist off them to a degree. I think that might be true, but it's a theory only. I don't know if it's true. In that the winds sink into them in a way they don't sink into you. I've studied the winds to a degree. I had to deal with magisters, so I'm fully aware of each of the colleges. We've had sorcerers. The elf, whom I mentioned before.
Yeah.
I studied under her for a while. She's broken.
Broken how?
She lives in mostly a fugue state.
Yeah, right.
And she is utterly delighted with her life. And I can't express to you how much that is unlike the woman that my father first met. And that is loosely the state my father had left Amenemythe in.
How long ago was this?
Oh, this was about, for her, 30 years. It was before I was born. But it remains within you, the desire for the petals. But I have some, and I've been weaning her off them. The only way to do it, though, is to teach her how to not want them. It's hard. It's not something that we've been discussing publicly, but I fear I need to with you, because I know you're not going anywhere. I wouldn't be so open if I thought you were going somewhere. I know you're not. My fear isn't that. My fear is you'll stubbornly hang around and cause problems. That's what I'm trying to break down. I'm trying to show you that everyone's lives are more complicated than they present to you. I'm trying to show you that you need to just accept that these people are sometimes not going to be what you want of them. But you shouldn't hold a grudge. You just simply say their lives are complicated too.
Oh, I know that people aren't going to be what I want. I just want people to try and be better.
I think that is an admirable and wise goal. So why not use it as a teachable moment? Why not discuss it with them?
That's more the father's thing.
No, it's not. You've seen that he doesn't do it sometimes. He goes with a my way or the highway option. It is the road ahead that I see, or alternatively, you're wrong. You're more complicated than that. You know that life is more complicated than that. And to a degree, he knows it too. And indeed, I think the very fact that he has shown a certain reservation to act on the right way under certain circumstances not only shows that he understands it, he actually lives by it too. It's just he has almost brought himself into this terrible position where he has a god sitting on his shoulder judging him.
Well, what he believes to be a god.
Yes, well, who knows what is what these days.
I
mean, look at the repercussions of what he has said to this city.
It's just always gets worse.
And that is what I'm here to try and ensure doesn't happen for us. Use it as a moment for you to say, I'm disappointed. I was hoping for better. And when they say I had to do a thing, don't just simply say unacceptable. Say, explain. Make me understand. Of everyone here, you seem to have the truest heart. Because it's your own heart rather than something that's been imposed upon them.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, I do. I can see it by the way you worry about every choice. It's your mind that's driving it. The very thing that you are most scared of, that everything has been set up for you, I think is the thing that you should be least scared of. She set you up to have a free mind. And your fear of her has given you it. Your fear of what you're going to encounter around the next corner and how you're going to avoid it, what you're going to do, all the choices that have to be made. I'd say you're freer than anyone else here. I'm stuck. I can't leave this vessel. I'm terrified that Alamenowith is left because she has taken away her guardianship along with it. Sigismund, he can be scried now. I can be scried right now. The fact she has gone shows that maybe I haven't weaned her off enough. Maybe something else is going on with her that I don't understand. I only get a fraction of her life. I only get a fraction of what is motivating her. She's just fled off to the Grey College for who knows what reason, leaving me exposed. Worse, though, she's leaving Gerhardt exposed. It's very much not her, and it worries me. Second she returns, I will be discussing it with her, trying to understand why she did it.
When did she go?
She went this morning early.
Did she mention Grauman or anyone?
Grauman. She said yes, the name. I don't know Grauman.
Right. As a Magister that we met a long time ago. She seemed to have kept up communication.
It's probably that. I don't know. I know she's going to the Grey College. She mentioned it as she slipped out. I wasn't even thinking about it until she was gone, if I'm honest. And then I realized the implications of her being gone. She's much sharper than I am. I'm more intelligent than she is, bless her soul. But she's sharper. She understands purpose in a way that has a dedication I find terrifying, if I'm honest. And her dedication seems to have slipped. Perhaps this Grauman has cast a spell on her or something, who would say? That's a possibility. Although one would think if that were the case, then the last time she was in Aldorf, she would have gone off to see her. Perhaps she did, I don't know. So, I'm glad we talked. And I know that sounds somewhat dismissive, like I'm bringing this to an end. I'm not. What I'm saying is, I'm glad we've talked.
It's not... I don't know. I don't want to come across the way that I seem to have come across, but the moods, they affect me slightly different. You know, you lose control, you hurt someone's feelings. I lose control. The barge is gone.
Yeah. Most of your college that I've known have been worse than you, if I'm honest. Particularly judgmental, afraid of confronting their own emotions because of the outcomes that can come from it. And often they don't, they just shout at others. They let it all out. They bellow, they scream because they realize to hold anything in is dangerous. Where you take a different route, you hold it in. To, one presumes, circumnavigate that particular danger that you perceive. That's not what worries me. I trust you to be able to control yourself in whatever manner is required by yourself. I trust you. You would not have your license if you were not capable of controlling yourself. You can. That doesn't concern me. What concerns me is, why are you here and can you be trusted?
I'm probably the only one who doesn't report to anyone else.
Yet.
But still.
Entire city of people out there who could unexpectedly receive a report. Can you be trusted? Can I trust you to escort Marguerite to the Amethyst College and not turn her in?
Well, practically, what evidence do I have?
I don't care what evidence you have. You have the evidence you need.
No, think this through. You're a smart lady. You said it yourself. What evidence? What proof? I've got nothing.
That is not something I would like to rely upon. I would much prefer you to say, of course that's not going to happen, because I wouldn't do it. Not, I'm looking for evidence that I can do it later, which is what your reasoning was leading to.
No, the evidence is destroyed. I'll never find anything.
Well, who's to say that you did? Let's say you did have evidence. Right now, I would like to be able to trust you not to use it. Because that is the future wife of someone who actually believes he's your friend.
It's a dangerous path to go down, letting friendships overcloud bad or good things. But for now, I'll escort her. She'll get to the Amethysts. There'll be nothing in between.
It's not an answer to my question, then.
I just said you can trust me to get her to the Amethysts.
No, I said, can I trust you? That was merely a single example of where trust could lie. Can I actually trust you?
Well, what's it worth to me saying yes? Trust is earned.
No.
Or sometimes broken.
No. This is bullshit, looking for people to manipulate others. I don't care about any of that. I just want you to be certain that you're telling me the truth and then to tell me it. That's all I need. I don't need any trust is earned. I don't need time. I don't need anything else. I trust that I have a good judge of character as much as I can do. I trust in myself. You never truly trust in anyone else.
No.
But I can ask you, and I can see what you say. And if you say that you can be trusted and you're being honest with me, then I believe you. I don't care how foolish you think that makes me. That doesn't make any difference to my life at all. If you can be trusted, then I think that is admirable, perhaps foolish under certain circumstances. I can see that. But this isn't one of those circumstances. This is just, if you are sent off with these people, can I be certain that you will not only not stab them in the back, but you will actively support them and perhaps try to get off the high horse that you've placed yourself upon and engage with them as people, real people, with hopes and fears?
You can trust me. I'll engage with people. As you said, I need to understand, or I'd like to understand the why.
Yeah, it helps.
That's maybe where I've been a bit closed.
It helps.
But for reasons.
It's really hard, isn't it?
Doesn't get easy.
It's going to get harder. I've been searching around trying to figure out how this is going to work. How decisions are going to be made. There's so much tension.
Well, I'm a simple man. We try and bring a bit of light into the darkness. It's one time one will overpower the other. It might get darker, but it should get lighter. And as long as I can see that the actions that we take as a group and individually are leading us to the leading us to the light to get that greater balance, then I'm there. But if it gets too dark,
it's going to get dark.
But we should still be striving for the light.
Quite. I mean, no one wants to be benighted. That will be lost in the end, I presume. But sometimes some very difficult decisions will have to be made to ensure that we can reach it in the end. Are you up to that?
I have to be.
Don't we all? You know, Alan Wentworth really likes you. I mean, really likes you.
Barely know her. But as you say, it's because she has to lie.
Yeah.
Got her that scarf, though. It's a nice scarf.
It is. She treasures it.
Right. And I've got the grimoire holder?
Scroll case.
Scroll case, yeah. That's probably one of his few possessions.
Yeah, totally. It's not his uniform. Yeah. It's always like the lifeline she holds on to sometimes. I think this has been good.
I think we should talk more.
Yeah. I think we probably should. I'm going to go and talk to Lady Wittgenstein. We have to sort out some of her issues.
Mm-hmm. I'll just stay here. I'll take the day in.
If I were to give you any recommendation, it would be to find a way to contribute. Everybody has their own things that they automatically contribute to any given discussion, but it's one thing I think Gerhardt has done admirably. It has shown his character in a way that I didn't expect, particularly given the way he projects himself. He projects quite a different character to who he truly is underneath it all. He likes to think that he's nothing like his father, but he's much more like his father than he would ever care to admit. I admire his father. He is intelligent, he's sharp, and he pretends an extra layer of pretense to most of his actions to ensure that he gets the outcome he's looking for. But as a leader, he is certain. And that is one of the reasons why everyone is quite convinced that he is currently in a very poor position. Because he looks uncertain, but by purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I am afraid of what is to come in Reichland, because I am afraid of Gerhardt's father. My father, he is a terrifying individual, but he's somewhat unstable in terms of where he will lie. He's a survivor. He will always find himself on the winning side somehow. But Sigismund Hubersreich, he has purpose, and he's been wronged. He is who I'm afraid of, not my father. And if he's allied to my father, which I facilitated, my father will be deployed.
I mean, maybe not your father already, but we know who attacked us. But I have been thinking of I do feel I contribute, but I know what you mean.
Oh, I think you do as well. But sometimes it's begrudgingly. And there is nothing wrong with holding a grudge. But in our circumstance, there is a great deal wrong with allowing it to influence your decision and their mood as much as your own. It may pain me to say this, but just lie. The outcome will be better if you want the light. Sometimes you have to lie. Because the truth hurts and makes people act poorly, and they make mistakes. Lies are an essential component of a working environment that we are seeking to promote here. But we are all working together towards the best end. And if you tell somebody that their idea for the best end is stupid and shit, they're not going to be happy. Sometimes there's a better route towards getting what you want in the end.
Well, that's tact rather than lying, though, isn't it?
It can be. I was using that as I'll admit, a poor example. All right, let's be a bit more blunt. I don't like the circumstance we find ourselves in. So I shan't talk to you.
It's a bit petulant.
Well, that's what you do.
No, I do it in a deeper voice.
All right. I shan't talk to you.
There you go.
You've got a good streak of humour, and this is the worst part of you. You're acting like a young man whilst having the depth of an old man.
Old soul.
Exactly. Allow that soul to come up. Let the humour come forefront. Realise that you don't need to act in the way that your college expects, or indeed anyone else. You're a good man. You know you're a good man. It's half the problem that you have with everyone.
Well, I could change in ways, but I don't want to change.
Why would you?
Because good men can become evil men.
Well, there's no need for that to occur. And I'll be the first to approach you if I think that's the case and say, have you reconsidered your life because you're making some poor choices? I think that's my job, to facilitate, make things happen.
As I said, you're perceptive, Greta.
Right, I'm going to go and talk to Wittgenstein. She's not going to appreciate it, but she needs to talk.
Well, I'm at a loose end, so whenever she wants to go.
She won't be going till at least till tomorrow. She needs to be ready for not being in a position of control and authority. She has none of her staff, she has none of her people, and she's about to move into an environment which is potentially going to be ugly. The Amethyst College and her don't see eye to eye. And she's used to being in a position where she cannot see eye to eye. That's not going to be the case any longer.
At least that's one thing that we have in common then.
Yeah, it's a starting point. Grasp everything, single floating bit of wood when you're drowning, I suppose. Good day to you. I feel that was good.
Yeah, good day.
He said, I'd hug you, but I'm not sure you're that sort of person.
It's the braziers.
I wouldn't hug that. Right, good day. Right, Wittgenstein. I think I'll get a cup of tea first, actually, as she reaches out. Can I have some tea, please? Yeah, of course you can have some tea. Would you? Oh, I haven't got the water boil. Let's put it on now.
I can boil your water, don't worry.
Oh, so useful. Do you want to move in?
I don't think I'd fit, dumpling. It's a bit tight in there.
He says, it's all right. We can make some space in the corner. You can sit down just there. We could chat all day. Oh, I could tell you all the different recipes I have. But she just doesn't stop.
I did want to look at some of my spells, but okay. I'll just... Yeah.
Boiled water.
But again, that gives Elric some thoughts in terms of putting actually to use.
Quite. Let's pick up on the next day. Because no one's coming or visiting. And if you're largely in thought for most of that time.
So I was just thinking, so now that all the relics have been removed from the boat, I think he would be going through his grimoire, reading the spells, making sure that they're still in his head, because he was a bit worried about that.
And they are.
Yeah.
Which is deeply pleasing. Deeply pleasing. Next day. The good lady, Margarita. She's on the deck at the 10th bell. Almost as it rings, she climbs up out of the hold where she's been ensconced reading through all the various tomes of forgotten lore from her grandfather's library. Let's get the right one. Grandfather's library. And there's a few things to say about her. She chooses darker tones. It's almost like she's representing the nature of her magic on her beyond requirement, as is your case. But perhaps that helps her channel through the darker winds. You're not entirely sure. Maybe this is just how Amethyst wizards work. It's not like you've met many of them. She does have a long cloak on this morning, which is purple on its inner, but dark on the outside. And she then pulls up on a rope a big hefty tome. It's about that big and about that deep. Heavy. Which she straps up and pulls over her shoulder, settles it in, so it hangs on her hip. The scythe mark on the side of it, of the Amethyst College, is clear. The only other Amethyst wizards you have seen or encountered were all bald. She clearly is not.
Would that include female wizards?
Yeah.
And there's no family members that he knows of.
Not that he's aware of, I think.
That
Just
he's
running
met
through the ones
anyway.
he knows. Yeah, no, I'm not. Not aware of any of them. As she puts the book into place.
How does her grimoire size-wise compare to Elrich's?
A good bit bigger.
Like not just thicker, but just
Big,
physically.
just physically much bigger. I mean, your one's relatively small. It's compact. It's filled, but still has space at the end for spells that if you were to encounter someone like Ramrung, if you just gave you some fucking spells, fucking right. That didn't occur. Shake your fist at Ramrung.
Fireball's doing well so far.
Yeah, it certainly is. As she struggles against it slightly. There's a few things that's also worth making abundantly clear concerning the good lady. One is that she clearly takes time with her appearance. She spends time painting her face in the morning, and anytime she's seen, she has an immaculate look. Her nails are always painted without chip. Her features are always soft, exceedingly pale, and highlighted with a great deal of care. That leaves her looking almost too perfect sometimes. Level of prettiness that most wouldn't take the time to achieve. Yet somehow she's managed to achieve it and still make it look just a little bit like it flopped into place by itself. She's clearly very used to looking as pretty as she possibly can, and that immediately gives you some awareness of how she has, over the course of time, used that. Particularly given what you knew her remit was, where she was often attracting cultists into place, often to then presumably use them for something, and her appearance has clearly been a part of that. Why bother otherwise? That in and of itself is an interesting little insight, as she pulls on a pair of black gloves. They're detailed down the fingers with roses, purple roses. Right at the very tips, there are small, almost like sharp little purple claws.
Has he seen them before?
No.
No?
Yeah, quite. Looks a bit nasty.
And Elric has no kind of heraldic lore or anything, but it's not that the roses are anything to do with Wittgenstein.
Not that you're aware of. No, you didn't see any roses. You saw lots of comets.
Yeah.
You saw lots of sheaves of wheat. But yeah, no roses. Roses, in his limited experience, he knows they're associated with Mor, god of death, so there could be some connection there, given that she's intending on going to the College of Death, the Amethyst College. Purple magic strongly, effectively the wind of death, as you know, you've got lore magic. Shyish, which gathers in great dusty, like the sands of time itself, spread out, but all dark and purple. Incredibly difficult to see. It gathers in corners of old graveyards around solemnity and a certain level of quiet. It's almost the opposite of your wind in so many ways.
So
she then pulls down a black veil, attaches it slightly as it hangs down.
How opaque is the veil?
Relatively opaque. You can tell there's someone underneath there. Her lips, a deep, dark, ruddy purple. She ties some parts at the back, looks over to you. I believe you are to escort me this morning.
Aye, yeah. Back to your college. Get your license.
Yes, assuming they'll give it to me. Yes.
Why do you think they won't give it to you?
I can't be certain. Each of the colleges are different. I don't know how yours deals with it. But they don't take the loss of one's license well.
Mine just quite shouty, but from a lore point of view, it would be rare a Bright would lose their license. More likely, they're just dead.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I lost my license, I'm coming back.
Yeah. Dead. You know that in current circumstances, it's illegal for her to cast any magic at all. It's a funny old one. Most wizards of the Empire are capable of casting more than just the wind that they were taught at the college. After all, they all came from somewhere. Yeah. Absolutely. But they're all illegal. You don't do any of those. You only do the ones that you've got a license for, which will be what you've graduated from the College of Magic, gives you a license, away you go. Everyone knows that they can all do a bit more, but they don't, because that is bad.
That's a sign of the control. The
Indeed.
discipline.
And in this particular case, she's in a position where she can't cast anything legally. And if she were to cast, say, for example, an Amethyst spell, right now, she would be breaking the law, and Sigmarites would be within their right to impound her and potentially worse.
Yeah. Well, do we have far to go? I've never been.
She says, it's a relatively long hike. We need to move over to the gates into the city. Fortunately, it's quite close. There's the rose wall, she says, but you can't quite see it. There's the white walls of the city. The roses from the gardens of moss spill over the rose wall like a waterfall. It's there. The college is on the other side. In fact, we might be able to. She squints. Yes, you can just see some of the higher points as she points over. The college up there. It's beside the old, very old Garden of Moor.
And with this outfit, if everything goes wrong, can you move?
Not quickly.
Is there any consideration to rethink?
There's some
mobility?
consideration, but I don't think it would be wise for me to attend the college in something they don't expect.
Right. Oh, so this is...
This is a variation of it, yes.
Okay. And it's just the city... I would say it's terrible at the best of times, but it seems to be even worse now.
Well, perhaps we can take a coach.
Could maybe
taxi.
try for a coach.
Let's see if we can find ourselves a cabriolet.
And what do I call you? You're not my employer now, but you are a noble. Is it Lady Magister? Is it just Marguerite?
Smiles. Properly. She says, this is interesting. Lady Magister would be appropriate. Many in my college prefer magistrix, but there has been some debate as to the correct title. Some of my college prefer magistrix, but there is some linguistic issue with it, given that it appears to be a bastardization of the original word. So
just Lady Magister.
Yes, I think that would be appropriate.
Do you travel as yourself? Like, the other boy never really goes by his name?
No, I always travel as myself. He says, this is going to be a difficult day. How do we get up there? We're going to have to climb over those other barges, aren't we?
That's how it works.
He looks at them all. Oh, well, I suppose there's no time like the present.
If I offer a hand, are they going to prick me?
Oh, they shouldn't. They're not sharp, he says. Let's see if we can then.
Right, come on.
You negotiate your way across the barges. Quite a few of the barge hands who are lounging on their individual barges, smoking away or having a drink as they're waiting for whatever it is that they happen to be waiting for, do indeed give her quite a few appraising looks. None of them quite have the balls to call out, as they may have chosen to do so under other circumstances, given just who you quite clearly are, and given who she might also be. In and around Altdorf, wizards are known, and who they are is known. The fear of the witch is much less inside the capital, because it's become a daily occurrence.
Yeah.
They see them frequently.
And yeah, Elrick will be in full uniform.
By the time you get to the main jetty, where the biggest and the closest barge to it is attached to, the warships are glinting away over on the Reichsport. You see off in the distance what begins as a relatively small, but then swiftly larger silhouette and then shape of a ship coming at an extraordinary pace. There's quite a few call-outs. Enough, certainly, that attack drags your attention as you look out and see it coming. It's an elven vessel with 4 hulls. 2 major hulls and 2 smaller hulls. And it's lifted right out of the water. as if it's somehow flying. It's big, triangular, sails filled, but it appears to be connected to the water somehow, even though it's raised up out of it. Small white struts move in and catch the water, causing a spray to go to either side. And the speed it's moving is extraordinary. To begin with, you're like, oh, there's definitely a thing. People are calling out, and you're just about to make comment when it's already swoosh going straight by. That isn't what stuns the most. The reaction from various ships all over the place. That's interesting. Behind it, another one, much smaller, just 2 hulls. But again, raised up out of the water. A spray of water coming from behind it. Too fast for you even to have enough time to really appreciate the extraordinary artistry that they have managed to paint and sew or whatever they've done onto their sails. Whoosh, it's what you see them do as they skim into the city that surprises. Their masts drop as they skim underneath a bridge and they fly right back up again almost instantly. And they don't stop. They just keep on going till they're out of sight into Aldorf. Marguerite, oh my. Whew. Spray.
Do you think that was... Ships don't move like that naturally, do they?
I have no idea. I didn't sense any magic, did you?
He would have squinted his eyes.
Please have a test. Is there magic?
Oh! He's rolled an 88. So I'd rather not fumble that.
Really?
If he is quite chilled and he's got 5 successes.
Yeah, well, totally.
Yeah.
There's no real pressure on him. They're definitely an advantage.
Rolled 5 successes.
So you've rolled 5 successes.
Yeah.
The winds of magic are not present.
No, so I can't.
It's, I see nothing. Is that?
I thought it was the dwarves who were good at the old engineering, but they seem to know their sea
So
craft.
fast. How did they move so fast?
Why are they moving so fast?
She looks over towards the main rise of the city, the 7 hills of Altdorf spread out before it. With her eyes wide. Quite. Well, there was that business in Kemp about. Maybe they're going now.
Oh, yeah. They were saying that they're respecting elves, right?
But the size of that warship, it could easily be 500, 1,000 elves across both those ships.
That's enough to take Altdorf.
Well, I doubt it.
It's elves, though.
I still
How
doubt
many
it.
of them are magic users?
Yes, but it's Altdorf.
I mean, I don't think they are. I'm just saying that's a bit of a scary proposition.
It is.
Do you know there's different types, isn't there?
I'm not an expert in elves.
No. Well, I don't think Alamenoites people are seafarers, are they?
I don't know. I hadn't considered it. She says, I really don't know. It's not my area of expertise. Shall we make our way then?
Let's go, Lady Magister.
A cabaret. Oh, we want to go. It's taken you a wee while to find one. 5 minutes down along the Reichsport, and eventually there's there a 2-wheeled cab with a space for 2 to sit in the back. He's got a single horse in it. As he looks at you all hunched up. Where you go, Gov? Which one, eh? Oh, is it you, lady?
You are speaking to a lady.
Is
So-
you're making your way to college? Says, hope so. Don't need to pay toll to get through gate, eh? You got a license, eh? Show that, flash, we'll be right in.
I know. I know how this works.
So, where you go, Gov?
We're going to the Amethyst College.
Ah, he says, all right, fair enough. Right you are. Tip, 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 tip. Right you are. The period between getting off the barge, seeing the whoosh, and arriving at the cab have been mostly people being relatively in awe of what they'd just seen. But passing along the streets of the Reichsport towards the main gate, passing by all those who are queuing up to get into the city itself, being flagged on by one of the guardsmen at the gate, upon seeing license, just passes you on. They don't particularly care. Through on into the main city itself and down through the street. All of this journey is punctuated by various shouts, various calls, most of which are along the lines of, Aldorf, Aldorfers! Go, kick out all the foreigners! Because who needs a foreigner?
Layabouts.
Quite. You Ostlander cunt! Says one as he punches down onto the poor unfortunate who happened to be wearing an Ostlander badge upon his heraldic device. That turns into a swift kicking, but you're already past.
So he was gonna kind of keep a lookout, and if it's slowing down at all, try and do that trick that he used in Bergenhafen, which is to draw, and in Ubersreich as well, to draw the actuay from the kind of simmering tension.
Too hot, too much of it. And that I don't disagree with the attempt. It's just the effectiveness of it. He quickly finds
it's everywhere.
It's just everywhere. Yeah. And it's a little bit like trying to use a straw to suck in the ocean. You can get yourself some saltiness and salty goodness. And how salty the folk are out there doesn't change.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much sea around you. The Lady Magister, not Strix, notes it and says, do you really think it'll make much difference?
If it can make any difference, it would be enough.
She nods.
And it's also practice.
Street preachers. They punctuate the streets like commas and full stops or periods for you Americans out there. Just to translate.
Yeah.
They punctuate the streets. And each of them has a different variation of the same tale to tell. And that tale is quite clearly that Sigmar has made himself known. So now is the time to move. We should march unknown, says one. Finally, take back the Imperial capital for Altdorf! Or another. Down with the Middenheimers! Says, that's what Sigmar said! We should be going marching north and killing them! Kill they folk! Most amusingly of all, to your ear, he sounded like he probably was a Middenlander. Probably. Maybe that's it. They want Middenheim to fall, not Middenland. Who can say exactly what the case is?
So having not spent much time in Altdorf, like in a very secluded
you were in the Bright
part, is that attitude, has it always festered, or does it seem like it's really almost orchestrated in a way?
You don't know.
No. So
yeah.
She won't be in Altdorf, but like, yeah, he'll just try and borrow it.
Worth asking, isn't it?
It feels like, I don't know, I've not spent much time in this city. I've passed through and I've been in the Brights for years, but it can't always be like this, can it?
She says, Aldorf has always had its problems. Every time there's a riot or there's some tax that they disagree with or there's some killer on the loose that they all have to rally against. One time I was here, there was murders involving some beclawed individual that was taking harlots by the night. And men were moving around in groups, shouting out that it was this person or that person that was involved. And it had turned into kill all the nobles moment, because they were quite convinced it was a noble that was responsible for doing it, as if nobles carried their own claws. But that had become the street parlance, the word that everyone was spreading. It's not uncommon. Altdorf is a mess.
So they're easily swayed.
Well, it's the winds of magic that sway through this place in turn. There's so much algo here. Fog gathers in extraordinary thick banks, often on the clearest of days, because the algo is so thick. That brings suspicion.
Do you say that from you can see it, or
Oh,
just...
you can see it. You can not only see the Ulgu, you can see the fog that comes with it. Most mornings a fog will gather over the Reich and Talabek, and that's because of the Ulgu, not because of the atmospheric conditions. At least that's what I have been taught, and it seems to be the case. It gathers very thickly in the morning and tends to dissipate through the day. The summer makes it difficult for it to gather, but in the autumn and in spring...
He would have seen the fog.
Oh yeah, you've seen the fogs come in, and often though they didn't reach the college.
No.
So if you sat on the walls, you could see the fog out across the city and all the towers rising out above it. Celestial College towers over on the main island, rising up high above the fogs, and with a crackling of power at the tops, but never quite reaching into your college. It's almost like the mist was scared of pushing too close. But it still left the air damp. As you hear someone else call out, "You shouldn't be taking wizards through town!" "Yeah, you shouldn't be taking wizards," says someone else. Cop, cop, cop. "Yeah, well,
Not scared then, no?
He says, "It's normal, isn't it, Gov? It's just how it works."
Fair is a fair.
He says, "I don't care." He says, "Tip well, don't you?" The lady says, "Well, I suppose that we do now." "Well, exactly." The coach turns and starts making its way northwards, passing a large park, several trees, a whole bunch of rather nice houses, most of which are walled around their small estates that they carry. Guards patrolling in small squads of 5 to 10. Clearly, this part of Altdorf is very well looked after. The rise of the hill that goes up, showing tier after tier after tier of buildings. Out towards the left, the high walls and then the sepulchral buildings that presumably are the Garden of Moor. Roses spill out the top of them. Black roses covering all the walls, and it's the season where they are all in bloom. Quite the black view. Getting closer and passing by one of the walls for the main Garden of Moor, the old Garden of Moor. Many of the roses are falling down, and you can see the petals have got a slight touch of purple to them. Not pure black, but really, really close to it. This place is heavy with Shyish. Assuming, of course, that you can perceive it. Shyish is hard. 6 successes required. It's a toughie.
Nah, 4 successes.
Close. He can sense the winds around him, and he can sense that the winds are being pushed back from the garden.
The trick.
Can't quite see what's causing it to push back.
He's probably more distracted. And how come you get to live in a much more nice area? Have you been to East Altdorf?
Yes, your college was cited there because it was cheap, I believe.
Less collateral damage, probably.
That is what people like to laugh at. Your college and mine have had issues in the past. They went to war once. You might not know that.
Does he know that?
No. That was something they did not teach. Yes, wizard wars.
Probably not a good thing.
Patriarch of your order, quite literally, called down fire from the heavens, from the top of his tallest tower, the tower that is now the Supreme Patriarch's tower, to strike at our college.
He's looking. Did it work?
I know, as it turns out, my current patriarch, he dispelled it, I believe. I obviously wasn't there, but I prayed about it.
Your current patriarch, so it can't have been that long.
It was a while ago. He has been patriarch for a long time, and he has also left the position more than once.
Right. So the death side of things is probably a bit more lenient for you lot.
To a degree, but much like yours, many of our college find themselves in dangerous circumstances, and death is not uncommon. Indeed, many are fascinated by it and draw a little too close, like moths.
Forgive me if I'm sounding a bit forward, but if you had stayed in your castle, I'd imagine you'd be there for quite a long time.
Yes.
Already have been.
I'm 57. Doesn't look 57.
Yeah.
Looking good for it.
Does Gerhardt know?
Probably not. My wife's 57.
Yeah, he's got a MILF.
She's not necessarily a mum yet.
No.
An elf, a Magister.
Magister. There we go. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Totally what you meant. Feel foolish. A Magister. Yeah. It arcs around a corner, passes by several heavy-looking inns. I say heavy because they're hanging redolent with scrolls and lanterns, and the walls are painted with saints striking down what appears to be skeletons and half-made creatures. Illumination in this particular part of town appears to be common. Many of the walls are painted. Many of those are faded. Many of them are peeling. All of the buildings around this area look old as it passes by the old Garden of Moor. Through that towards... Yeah, that's going to be the Amethyst College then. It's one of those moments when you're like, there's no doubt what that is. That is an enormous, and again, to use the word twice in relatively short order, sepulchral building. It looks like it was clearly designed to be an incredibly impressive visage, if nothing else. An interesting mixture of styles, the old Imperial style mixing with an almost classical edge, fluted columns around some parts, but they are detailed around the top with roses and bones everywhere. Bones, skulls and bones and skulls and bread, raven wings over there and spread raven wings over there as well. The associations with more could not be clearer, but the grandiose nature of this building makes the somewhat more simple Morian temples look plain and uninteresting in comparison to this. Many of the towers have got windows that are lit, light spilling out from them, and somehow, and you're not quite sure how you can place it, it feels like it's nighttime, even though it definitely isn't. Looking around, it's day, yet the building itself almost doesn't reflect the light properly, as if somehow the sun is being absorbed or otherwise repulsed. It's difficult to tell. Your senses find it a difficult building to look at as well, and you think that could be because it's so heavy with Shyish that you're almost trying to see it and failing. So it leaves things slightly out of focus to his senses. His eyes almost blink against it. It's a tough view. And he realizes that very possibly that wind presence may be changing the view. He might not be seeing the building for exactly what it is because his eyes are disfocused, or parts that are over there are being misunderstood in terms of their alignment.
Is this some kind of defense
cold
thing?
Shivers go down his back.
For some defense, I can't really... If I was to try and make a judgment on how best to attack, doesn't seem like the building makes sense.
Do you know what? There are many wards in place over the Amethyst College. It has been under attack multiple times. There's only one college hated more than ours.
Are you looking at me as if
I wonder if you know. It's not yours.
The Greys?
It's the Greys. Your patriarch has tried to close it more than once. He used them as tricksters, thieves, the worst examples of the Magisters of the Orders.
I mean, I don't know if they're the worst, but they are tricksters, no? They are thieves.
It's all down to perspective, I suppose. They have their remit, which I presume that they are attempting to see through in their own way. We have our remit here at the Amethyst College. You have yours at the Bright. You are largely on the front line.
We're the fodder.
No, not fodder. Force multiplier. They're the fodder. You're not the fodder. You shouldn't think of yourself as such. That is foolishness.
Well, it's almost how they're training us.
That is true. But you are still a worthwhile weapon. Oh, this college.
Seems everyone doesn't really like their college.
No one likes their college. I am not, maybe except for the Golds. They're the only ones that I've really felt enjoy their college. Jades despise it, find it too constricted. The Greys hate it, lest they be tied down there.
Aye, well, I knew one who was no inclination to be part of that and just stay in Ubersreich.
The Lights are terrified that they'll equally will become lost in their corridors, looking for, I don't know what it is that they fear. 2 Lights that I met that had no desire to return to their college, probably because they'd end up teaching.
My cousin likes hers.
What college is she in?
Celestials. She likes the work she does.
The average apprenticeship there is at least 15 years. And most of them carry some horrific memories from the events. They prefer to find their own towers elsewhere.
And then she's in Marienburg, so...
Well, there we go. Maybe she likes Marienburg. It says, my college is much more... Well, it's well populated. Many of them are old magisters with grudges to bring.
So, how long do you think this will take?
Me?
Yeah.
I might be here for days.
Do I need to stay?
Oh, no.
Do you make... Well, I suppose once you have your license, you're fine to walk through the city, right?
I'll be fine.
And do you know... Did I tell you I'm trying to meet one of your lot?
I was told by Greta that there was someone you wished to meet, but that was it.
Aye, I'm getting introduced to Dietz, I think it was. Don't know if you know her. Another Magister.
I've heard of her.
Ellen?
I've heard of her. She's one of the Patriarch's apprentices, I believe.
Oh, right. Can't remember who recommended me to her, but she had some kind of fancy name.
Well, if you're here to see someone, I would just simply give your name at... Well, it's the gate. The gate of final absolution. Let's call it reception.
That's some name.
Let's call it reception. That's what it is.
Right. Is that where you're going?
No, I'm not, but I'll guide you there.
Yeah, I can't really make
The
sense of it.
cabbie says, well, we're here. No desire to go any further. No, I understand. It says, there's your coin. Oh, thanks very much. It says, I didn't even... Are you sure? Yes. See, this is why I do these jobs. It says, other folk, they say I shouldn't, but I'm telling you, this is why I do these jobs. Thanks very much. Thanks very much, he says.
Safe travels.
And you are guided along a corridor with a high arch into a main open square, all paved. And you can see the arches are everywhere. Bones and skulls decorate all the old stone. Towers rise on various sides. And so many young apprentices. Each and every last one of them bald. All of them. Not a single bit of hair upon their faces that you can see, or their heads, or anywhere else.
It's like my college almost.
It's a little.
Except you're not burned.
He says, if you come this way, I'll take you to the gate. They will see you in the right direction. There's curtsies from some, bows from others as she passes by.
Towards her or Elrick?
To her.
To her.
And it's quite clear that this is very unlike your college. Not a single one of them are talking. It's silent.
It's just the footsteps.
Yep. And even that, with the soft footing that they wear, almost like slippers. Her heels are one of the loudest things in this place. And the distant hubbub of the city can be heard. But other than that, it's really quite quiet. One wizard A tall chap with a big long beard, purple hood on, can't quite see his face, is walking along using what looks like a thin scythe as a staff. And his hip, an enormous book just like hers. She sees him, takes her breath, lets it out slowly, and says, "This way," and points in a different direction and heads into an overarched walkway. Her head's underneath it.
Who was that? Are we
He's
avoiding
someone
him?
I don't want to speak to.
Is there someone I should speak to?
I really don't think
No?
you should speak to anyone here that you have not been
Right.
invited to speak to.
Should I speak lower?
Yeah. Keep your voice down to a whisper if you can.
It's kind of anathema to me, but okay.
I understand, but if you can.
I'll try.
She takes a weaving route, avoiding people as she goes, until eventually she arrives with you at the gate. Reception.
That's so far back to get through a million things to get. Okay.
At reception, there is an old spindly looking man sitting up in a high chair, scraping away inside an enormous book, a long quill with purple fringes in his hand. As he looks up at her, she makes some hand gestures. He makes some hand gestures in turn. She looks at you, points towards a chair, puts up the hand, and back towards the chair again, and then makes some more gestures. Do you go to the chair?
Yeah, but you will try and, for no reason other than curiosity, pay attention to the hand gestures.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of a past of hand gestures, so. No. He does have secret signs.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He does indeed.
Yeah.
As you go and sit down, she comes over and then leans in quite close and whispers by your ear in a way that feels altogether too intimate. A quick, with the hot breath by her ear, "Be very quiet. Don't say anything unless you're requested to question. Don't say anything out loud. Consider it like the world's largest library. I've informed them who you're here to see. Best of luck." And she nods, and then the hiss of her dress, the click of her heels as she makes herself away. He scolds after her, then returns back. How long is he willing to wait?
So what he'll do, he'll close his eyes and he'll just run through his meditation. It'll probably be quite weird.
Do a nice cool test, please.
Yeah. 6 successes.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, he's cool.
Eventually, a young man arrives, completely bald. His eyes are a startling blue against the black and purple of his robes. Arrives at you, looks at you, and then walks off.
Stand up and slowly, as gingerly step. Oh, yeah, because he's wearing his boots, so yeah.
Yep.
Gingerly step.
You feel so loud. Click, 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 as he
Braziers
silently makes it.
clanking noises. Yeah.
Clacker, clacker, sword, clack, 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 clunk, clunk,
Staff.
clunk, clunk of boots. Tack, tack, tack. As he silently moves ahead of you like an owl in the night. You're led along a corridor, through a door, and then up a spiraling staircase. Along another long corridor where you pass by two who look at you like, "What the are you doing here?" They immediately return to their business. Hands flick with various gestures. Almost everyone you see has an enormous grimoire. Every last one of them. Until eventually...
Similar styling.
Perhaps less grand, but yes.
Yeah.
Until eventually you're seen to a chamber and a pool. On the outside is yanked on. He steps back. No sound from within. There's a bit of a delay. And then the door opens. A very young woman, again bald, looks out, looks at him, looks at you, looks at him. He makes a gesture. She makes a gesture in turn. Frowns, and then closes the door. He just stands, folds his arms, waits. Then you hear a voice in your head. Slightly unexpected. Why are you here?
Does he have an internal monologue?
You don't know.
Yeah.
Sure.
So he will think I was told to come here by Felonia Pearls.
Do yourself a... It's going to be a cool test.
2 successes.
Yeah, you're cool. There's a pause. I do not have time to be dealing with the bright college issues of their keys. I am a very important and busy Magister of the Orders.
I think that's why she sent me.
Cool test.
How chill is he?
Oh, yeah, good point. No. Yeah. You have to, reroll.
So you'd have to reroll.
Yeah. We don't have advantage at this point.
Crit.
Oh, sweet! Roll again for the total number of successes.
5 successes and a crit.
Sweet. Your voice comes through much more clearly. She says, you hear the sigh in your own mind. Very well. I will accept this interruption. The door opens. Girl is there. And then points at you.
You wave at the porter.
He frowns, goes off.
You throw a secret sign ranger at him. Just, yeah. To be fair, his more like scratches in the wood. But
pretty much. Give me a moment. Big arrow.
Yeah.
There's a river, 10 pieces, not direction. I put a stone in there and everything. On the inside, we have ourselves a relatively sparse, large reception room stroke office. Clearly, this is where writing work is done because there's a writing desk. It looks out over an arched window. There is no source of light other than the window itself, leaving the room particularly gloomy. On one wall, there's a tapestry, and on that tapestry is the single symbol of the Amethyst Order, and the rune and arced on itself, sitting at the side. The room beyond that has a table, some chairs to sit on, all of which are somewhat ornate and looking worn. The table, writing desk, looks worn. There's 2 doors out of here as well, both of which are black panelled with a rosewood edge. And again, look worn. The one who lets you in walks over to the other door, looks at you, points to a chair, and then goes through the door.
In his head, hello?
Hello? Hello? Yeah, it didn't appear to make any difference at all. As the door opens and you presume this is who you are here to see. She is wearing a dress that's bare on the shoulders and cuts down in a big V and accentuates her exceedingly pale face and breast. She wears almost the equivalent of a wimple. Almost. It's different design and has 8 peaks that come out of it on all sides. It flows down her back with purple and black. Her eyes are deeply shaded in purple. Her face, though, looks severe, almost pinched. Her cheeks are relatively hollow. Not skeletal, but give her a few more years and she might be heading in that direction. Her throat has a surprisingly prominent Adam's apple. Although, Warhammer, Adam? I don't think so. That's something to consider. I think we need ourselves an extra addition to our lexicon. Apple. We'll worry about that one later.
TBD.
Yeah, totally. As she sweeps in, the long skirts gliding across the floor as she comes to a halt, long fingers, pale, held before her, heavy, long sleeves hanging to either side. As she looks at you, looks over at the one who's coming in, and with long fingers, long fingernails too. Each one about an inch and a bit long.
Grimoire?
No grimoire on her. As she holds her pale hands in front of her. And there's a click as the door shuts behind her? Shuts behind her. An interesting door.
That was my secret sign.
And the door shuts behind her. A quick flick, flick, and then looks towards you and says, I do not have time to be dealing with you and your kind.
That's what Felonia thought, but she seemed happy by the end of it. That's why she recommended you.
I have no interest in your vague sexual innuendo.
No, that
she says, as she makes her way. Felonia and her tastes have no interest to me. He says, Felonia, as she hisses her skirts drifting across the floor towards the main window where her writing desk is a woman that I am rarely more than disgusted by. She glides around and sits down at her writing desk. Her fingernails clack onto the desk itself as she looks at you and says, what is it that you wish of me? Why do you dare interrupt my study?
No, I'm not
and
sure.
Break the silence of our night?
Wait, was she speaking in his head?
No, all out loud.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure. I know I have to come and show my abilities to gain my key.
Her neck cracks. She goes from one side, crack, audible to the other one as she breaks round. And she looks at you. Come sit down in this chair here.
Get up, you
You are a wizard of the order. Tell me your name. You are...
I'm Elrick Grunfeld.
Of course, Grunfeld. That makes more sense of why Felonia would send you to me.
Does it?
Yes. She says, and her fingers creep a couple of steps towards you and stop in front of her. It's not unnerving at all with those weird fingernails of hers. Now you're this close, you can see that each one of the fingernails has got a different rune. Each one of the runes are one of the colleges of magic runes. For a total of 8 on her fingers.
What's on the thumbs?
8 pointed stars. Quite common symbol of magic, but also a symbol of a bit more. All held within a wheel, all held in place.
Which finger is the actual rune on?
Number 1.
Pointer. That's for the Americans.
As she looks at you, her fingernails poised on the table, and then the amethyst finger rises and tap, tap, taps on the desk before you. You wish to test yourself? Is that why you are here?
Yes.
Says, well, let me be clear of one thing, Grunfeld. My body is a temple. It will not be violated by you or your kind.
No, that's understandable.
Let us be very clear on this. If you are to make any attempt upon me at all, I will, she says, submit with prejudice.
But you will submit.
She says, of course. And she looks at you with starry eyes.
Is there something else going on?
Lifts up her finger. Do yourself a perception test.
2 successes.
You feel a chill go down your back. A little bit like you've, I don't know, metaphorically walked over someone's grave. And you feel Tired. Heavy.
I've often found it polite to announce spell casting in front of other wizards rather than just doing it.
Says, I cast no spell. You show your ignorance.
Or some kind of channel, maybe.
If you wish to feel a channel. Then 2 fingernails left. Do yourself a perception test.
4 successes.
This one you almost spot.
Ooh.
Waving and a slight hissing, like sand passing through an hourglass. Just on the edge of your awareness, as it sinks onto you, you feel your shoulders roll. Really roll.
Oh.
Your body feels like it needs to curl up.
I can see that one.
She lifts up her clacky claws and then clacks. You have an intuition test.
No.
You wake up. You're not long after. She is looking at you with eyes that it's fair to say
Still
are
in the
withering.
chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're well slumped. Like, right down a bit of a crick in the neck.
Yeah. Rested against one of the brains.
She looks up. You have awakened.
Was I gone for long?
Shaish comes from the past, she says, from deep in the past. Shaish comes here, so that we may not make the same mistakes. She raises fingernails. Clack! Do yourself a perception test. Ooh.
4 successes again.
Sweet. You can see this almost sluggish movement of sandy mistiness drifting up, purple, tinged and edged to her fingers as they move back, and then
Just before, can he attempt to channel actually to try and rouse himself?
do yourself a channeling test. Difficulty is 4 because there's so much other winds
7
kicking around.
successes.
Sweet!
Yeah. And it's not to try and outward, but just to try and
pulling. You can feel the outside heat coming from the window behind. The blackness of everything around you. It's almost sluggishly pulling you down like you're being drowned in it. And you draw in the heat from there. Crack! Go the fingernails. And a swashing, swaying, miasmic cloud of dust particles and mist rises and curls around. As she says, the winds can be made manifest, so you can see the acts of the past. And raises her hand, and there's a sudden flash of red.
Ooh.
Unexpectedly red, that glances through all of the purple. And all of the winds are connected, she says. She draws a line with her long fingernails, and the red sears across your vision with a bright purple afterglow, almost like neon, but mixed with a touch of red. And you find yourself in a forest. A purple forest, admittedly. Not the most common forest you've been in.
Not very.
And you are not you. Oh, but you are. I mean, you're not you in that. You're not in control.
Right.
This is a memory.
First thing, if he has at least semblance of to look, what do his arms look like?
He's running through the forest. Oh, he's a young man. He's muscled, lean. He's a god. as he's tearing through the forest. This is the place of his ancestors. And he leaps like a stag, bounds forward onto a log, and then off the log onto the other side. And then he calls back with a voice that can't be much older than maybe 13 or 14 years old. It's all mine, Maven. As he bounces and leaps an easy 40, 50 yards, flows of gyron giving his legs strength. As he bounds forward, a spiral of gyron coming out of his chest, as he can feel the gyron horns soaring from his head. And he leaps again. Boom! Into a tree and bounces off a tree. Misses his mark, sadly. It's not his first time. Caught up in the moment. So easy to get drunk on the gyron as it's moving through you. He scatters, bounces off of a log, tears open part of his hip, but there's so much gyron running through him, it heals almost instantly. Bangs down to the ground, breaks his right arm, flacks it out and causes the arm to extend. The bone falls back into place and heals almost instantly. Swears deeply as he pulls himself back up and shouts back, "Not sure if I'm ready yet." And then the cackling laughter from all sides. Her voice, "You'll be ready in time, son. You'll be ready in time." Ready in time. As she goes, "Ready in time." Clack! Do yourself a perception test.
1 success.
1 success. You're by a brook of purple water. Everything is misty and unsure, and you're looking down at your own face. You're young, really young. You can't be older than maybe 8 or 9. Hand on your shoulder. "Don't you worry now, lad. You'll be king one day. This wood is yours. All this wood is yours. And all the spirits and all the people in it will bow to you. For the king that you are, and the king that you will be, and the king that you were." You're grinning. Your reflection is grinning. So fucking happy. You're happy because you've only been here with her for about a month. You're happy because back there you've been teased. They thought you were short. They thought you weren't up to much. They bullied you. So many of them were strong, but you weren't. You were young and you were small and you were weak, but you're going to be bigger than all of them. There's a certain grim pride in it. Clack! Do yourself an intuition test.
3 successes.
Oh, good one. This one is much clearer. Much clearer. You're lying in a room of furs. 1, 2, 3 burning braziers that have water poured on them. You are king. You're in a room of men and women, all of whom are naked. You've been in here for the last hour. And you're as sated as you can be, as are they. Because you're king. Soon everyone's going to know it. Everyone's going to know it. Because you will rise at the center of the dance and you will leap into the heavens. And all of the gyron will be yours. All of it. It's a pretty damn good day. And he's feeling really happy. Do yourself a perception test.
1 success.
1 success. Misty and unsure. "So who are you then?" It's a voice from behind as you twist round. And there is, you can't remember her name. Oh, it's a familiar face. She was one of the girls that were dancing when you're coming of age at the same time as you. You can't remember her name, and it's really annoying. Who are you then? And you almost don't say Elrick. There's a pause. You have eaten and smoked so much weirdwood that it's hard to even sure who you are anymore. You raise up a hand and it feels like the hand of a god. Instead of answering, you end up just looking at the back of the hand and feeling a bit of concern. As you look at it, and it doesn't look like the strong hand of a king. It looks like a woman. A woman. And you turn round. And there is no one there. Oh, no, the dance is about to go. You feel sick. You've drunk so much. You've got to steady yourself. You feel yourself drawing in the gyron. Pulling the gyron to ready yourself. Get ready for... clack! Do yourself. Perception test.
Ooh. That's a fail.
Do you want to re-roll it up?
No.
Love it. It's all darkness. And you hear screaming. You hear shouts. Sheila's dead! Shouts one. How can this happen? How? Bring him! Where's Marvin? Screams, calls, hollers. But what you hear louder than anything else is your own howl. Your own howl. And the burning. You can hear the burning. The fire. And the cooked smell of people. Clack. Intuition. Ooh. Good one.
One success.
It all fades and twists as distant swirling mists mixed with bits of sand, and on the edge the face of Coral Breath. Just coming out of it, no more, saying, poor lad's in the wrong place, so I think. What do we do with this? Where's Maven? And another voice going, she's gone. I never liked that cunt. And an older voice, you can't be talking to her like that. She's been with us since the beginning. And the other one says, what are we going to do with the lad? And one voice at the back, and you can remember this one so clearly. It would be better to kill him. And the hands draw back, and all 10 nails clack. Do yourself. Ooh. Well, this one's a cool test.
4 successes.
Superb. 4. You're reeling slightly. Hot tears in your eyes. You're in control of yourself, and you didn't realize how much you weren't in control of yourself until you could suddenly move your own hands and feel the heat on your face. Your cheeks are burning like you're embarrassed. Your face is burning too. Your eyes hurt slightly as they blink into seeing reality around you. She is sitting there with her nails held in place like so. And she looks at you and says, tell me, what did you see?
I was too young. I saw what made me who I am.
Her face, pale, looms out of the shadow and says, who is that? Wizard.
A man with regrets. A man who wields extraordinary power and understands the value of controlling that power. the responsibility of controlling that power.
If you pause. There is someone I wish you to meet. His name is Deschamps. Bertoni. One of my apprentices. He has a thing he can do. This is something the colleges do not teach. All of us, wizards, every last one of us are blessed a little by the god. More himself sits on our shadow. And he provides us with something that no one else has. You have something, and so did Deschamps, and so do I, do all of us. But what do you have? What does your fate have in store for you? The question is, wizard, do you want to know?
I don't think it'll make a difference, so yeah.
She raises up her pale hand, fingernails moving. Closes her eyes. Do yourself an intuition test.
2 successes.
Sweet. You can tell she's communicating with someone. She's cast a fine spell. There's a needle thin spike, slightest gleam, a little bit like the tracery of light just passing across your vision as the spell heads off in a different direction. You may wait in the seat.
How when he stands up, how is he on his feet?
Whoa, more wobbly than he expected. You've forgotten how limber you were when you were younger. And how much that relied upon the Gyron.
Imagine the arm, the scars hurt a bit more. He'll take a big deep breath and try and steady himself. And then just walk back to the chair.
Do some cool tests. Endurance would be better actually for this one.
Endurance would be... Yeah, fine. 4 successes.
With purpose, he makes his way over to the chair and sits down. The wait is about half bell. Halfway through it, he can hear the bells ringing off in the distance, the hour of 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And eventually, a chap, short, orange beard, a shock of orange hair sitting up at various angles like it's been either poorly cut or badly managed. Not bald, unlike most of the others you've seen, wearing a deep purple to mauve robe, which looks altogether too bright for all the rest of the surroundings, has opened the door without even knocking or making an equivalent, comes in, looks around, looks at her who has not moved with her fingernails attached to the table like glue, and you, and looks back to her. Her fingernails pop up as she click, 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 and he. But of course. He bows. My name is Gulam. Deschamps.
Elrick. Grunfeld.
But of course. He says, you would wish to shake hands?
Yeah, sure.
A pale hand comes out. Shakes. Do yourself.
Can do a little test.
What are you doing?
I was just to see how strong.
Ah, yeah. His is weak.
What am I testing?
Weak. You're doing cool.
2 successes.
Okay. What chaotic blood traits do you have?
What did he get? He got attractive, I think, from that, and he got one that affected his. Sorry, it's not.
If you check your card sheet, it'll be underneath your talents, chaotic blood.
Yeah.
CB probably.
Tal's chosen.
Tal's chosen.
Yeah. Yeah,
I believe you have 2.
And attractive.
And attractive. There we go. So, for those of you who don't know out there, chaotic blood traits are something that all of our human characters have that show the touch of, let's just say, something that is very much in the blood of humanity. Humanity. As he touches and then pulls back. Shakes his head at her. She. He. Somewhat more roundly makes a few forms. They look almost lazy by comparison, as her angular flick, 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 and a certain frustration upon her face. He bows and he leaves. Her hand comes up, long fingernails beckon you forward, and then point at the chair.
Okay. I thought.
Points.
Oh, he's sitting down. Yeah.
He's going over, sitting down. And she leans forward, a V of paleness and a face in the gloom with the tall wimple around her, and says, "You are chosen by the gods themselves, it is said." Says, "The touch is upon you whether you wish it or not. And you were told it was Tal.
Makes sense where I'm from.
It is Raya. But it has been hidden." Says, "There is a spell upon you."
What kind of spell?
A smile hits her dead features. Does not look comfortable. From the most cursed of colleges. The Greys. You are hidden, but they cannot be so easily seen by most. But Galam, he can see the truth. Raya's womb is within you. The fertility of life burns hard within you. And someone does not want you to know this, wizard. The question is, she makes some hand gestures. Who does not want you to know?
I think I know.
Do you wish to tell me, wizard?
I don't think it would mean much to you, but...
Mayhap not, mayhap so.
Depends if you saw what I saw, but I think it's my grandmother.
Then your grandmother is a grey wizard.
Do you know, I wouldn't put it past her.
And your grandmother is a powerful grey wizard.
That too, I wouldn't.
But, with your permission, we can find out. She raises up her claws, twists them round. We can look into your mind to the point when it happened. But I need your permission to do so. It makes one ask, does it not? Who do you trust?
Are you simply looking, or are you breaking it?
He says, to see it is to break it.
Then go ahead.
She closes her eyes, and the pale face, the pale arms, the pale V of her dress forms into this shape before you that blurs and shudders along the edges. A purple swirl runs through it. Do yourself a cool test.
7 successes.
Sweet. The wind of death is a complicated wind, but it comes hand in hand with fear, terror, because it is, by its very nature, terrifying to life, because in some respects it's the anathema of life, but in others it's the exposure for what life truly is, finite. The understanding that the now is the only thing that truly exists, and how the wind of death itself expands well beyond the moment. And it's that weird twisting and pulling to one side that you feel a swirl of red through it one more time. As her face judders and twists and seems to drift off like a bad 80s effect of head. You know the one I mean,
Yeah.
diminishing in size as it twists off in that direction and you find yourself right along with it. Can't go wrong with a little bit of 80s bad effects. I would like to have a perception test. Arguably a relatively important one for the job at hand.
2 successes.
2 successes is not too bad. Would you like to make it 3?
It would be his last fortune point.
That's what they're for, eh? You
Yeah.
keep it for a reroll or no? 3?
No, we'll
Okay,
make it
3
3.
it is then. He's young. He knows he's young. He can feel it. His heart rate is faster. His body is smaller. It's thin, it's slender. His arms have no strength to them at all. He himself has almost no strength in comparison to the man that he will become. He's been weeping because he has to leave. Because apparently, Maven is called. The Kingmaker. A prophesied birth has occurred. Apparently it's yours. They don't want you to know that. But you were listening in. They sat in the sweat lodge. Your parents. No, you know it's not your parents. It's your mother and her current lover. But he's like your dad. At least he was. You're going off with some old crazy woman who's been spouting things about you. You've got to be strong. Got to be strong. Got to be strong. When you see her face, old, twisted, like wood, you just break down. She leans forward with a wizened hand and taps 3 times on your head with a whisper. And a little voice going, we wouldn't want you remembering the truth now, would we? Tap, 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 tap. There you go, little boy. That'll see you right. Do yourself a perception test. Ooh!
4 successes.
That's good, because I done not very well on that test. And for a brief moment, the face flashes, and you see angles. For the briefest of moments, angles. And then it's the old woman again. And you're suddenly back in the room. Your breath is caught in your chest. You have to take a few moments to remember how to breathe. And you don't.
2 in.
It's just that.
Out.
Yeah. There we go. As breath hits and it feels cold in your chest, like you'd stopped breathing. The air hurts as your whole chest fills with life. Oh, there's a part of you that's trying to figure out how this has worked. Have you been possibly dead for a short period of time there? Is that how they managed to cast this? You remember reading once. In your lower magic test.
Okay. Crit.
Oh, I'm going to give you more.
8 successes.
Sweet. You remember reading once, perhaps coincidentally, perhaps there is no coincidence. Yeah, quite. In one of the books of the library where you had been sent to because you had done so poorly in your swordsman training. You had been beaten down again and again and again. You were covered in bruises and you'd been sent off to the Bright College's library to read books, which was considered to be one of the worst punishments. The librarian, a perpetual magister, perpetual apprentice, looks over you with a general tutting frown But you actually got quite caught up in what you were reading. The concept that upon death, your entire life is known to you. Because upon death, you pass on from the material plane into somewhere else where time doesn't exist. And as you move to the place where time doesn't exist, your whole life spills out before you as if it's happening now. And that's what she did to you. She killed you briefly so you could see your life. And using the magic, she plucked at the fine thread of the moment. And you can almost understand how Shias was used to weave this particular moment, to grasp the ungraspable. And the only way it could grasp at that point was to probably target the spell. And by targeting that spell, pop, it breaks. It's the smallest of spells, the biggest of spells, arguably, and you're not even sure what exactly has been dispelled within you. Something that, presume it was Engels, presume it was someone else, presume it was something that was cast to hide one aspect of who you are. And you fundamentally understand the aspect that has been hidden. They made you think that you were somehow attached to Tal. No. They promised that, and you know that that's not true. The fire burned from you. It's because you were attached to a different goddess. Possibly the Earth Mother, possibly Raya, possibly something else. Your brain possibly interpreted it as Raya. Maybe they did, but you think it's something else entirely. Old. Very old. And they have their eye on you. Because Avon didn't lie. Ultimately, your birth was prophesied. She just made you think it was something else. She hid you. Why? As she sits there. The spell is undone.
I find it hard to express my gratitude, but words don't seem enough, but thank you.
Pearl sent you here. This would have been Pearl's preferred outcome. She is of the blue wind. She sees things to come. I am of the purple, and I see things that have been. She will have seen that this was to come. That is why she sent you to me. I am very good at this. It is my purpose to do what I did to you, to the vampire, so we can learn from them and destroy them. The idea that you could see an entire vampire's life laid before you and pick out the pieces. Yeah, you could see how that could bring an advantage to the colleges, or indeed to anyone. Sounds like dangerous work, though. Not just because it's vampires, just dangerous.
There might be one vampire in particular you'd want to speak to. An ambassador.
Please. And she sits back in her almost throne-like chair, clacks her nails down onto the table. Do explain yourself.
Well, I don't know really where you'd find this person, but there was a vampire that came across our party, Julius von Karstein, but I don't think that was his original name.
It's like scraping of the nails on the table, causing the wood to splinter slightly. She looks down and, with a certain amount of distaste at herself for her loss of control, lifts her fingernails, looks at her hands, then looks over at you and claws her hands together on either side, almost defensively, covering herself as she looks at you and says,
Aye, but his original name was Friedman.
And why would I wish to speak to this one?
Well, he was in Magnus's court.
looks at you. Unfolds. Now that is very interesting. What name did he go by before?
Friedman.
Friedman. She smiles. Lady Magister Pearls. She knows me very well. It seems that she placed you in the correct circumstance. I do not hate so much that you are sent to me. She says.
Said that at the start.
She shrugs. If you wish to take me, you may. She just throws herself backwards. So.
Do you know, I'm okay for now. Being reborn kind of extinguishes that fire.
And she looks at you. There is a level of disappointment that I cannot express. But it is good, for it would have interrupted with my wind. We are celibate, you see.
Right.
There is a reason for this.
That's why you would have obliged.
Dead to the world.
But is that a metaphor? Or
metaphors are a reality, and realities can be metaphors. It is a complicated affair.
So you've crossed into Moore's realm? Or
no, I see. No, I must be as dead.
Right, okay. No passion.
It is different for your order. You are all passion, but you burn
Bluster.
out so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So fast. Since you have disappointed me, you may leave immediately. She says.
Do I not get a letter? Did I not pass the test?
I will send one to your college.
Okay. Did I pass?
You didn't fail.
Right. Just for my own well-being, could you say I passed?
I will tell them that you did not fail.
Okay. If I had a ravishy, it would have passed me, right?
Yes.
Yes. Thought so.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Ravished. Good word. You're not even sure where to go.
I imagine he would have tried to
do some navigation test.
Count, but
yeah,
everything would have messed it
do
up.
a navigation test as you.
I'd just rather
try
to.
This.
He's actually passed it.
Superb.
3 successes.
Take your way down that way, down to the corner, out through that way, out through.
He's figured a trick. He's not trying to focus on anything, and that lets him.
It's almost like following the actually out, because it has to get out somehow. This place is just full of it. Little realizing that he's actually following the winds of Shyish that are carrying the other winds along with them to be expelled. And he finds himself by the receptionist. Just looks on with a certain level of distaste over towards you and goes, gesturing you out.
Aye. He'll walk towards. Is there a doorway?
It's a big arch.
Yeah, well, he'll walk towards the arch, and then just as he's leaving, turn around and go, right, well, see ya!
See ya!
Yeah. Wrap his staff on the ground and then just trot out.
He shakes with each noise. The outside is so warm. As you pass from the cool interior of the college into the sunlight and the open square, where there's still a few trainee wizards and wizards passing around. But the heat is quite palpable as you pass over that threshold. A lot to think about. Definitely some unexpected occurrences there. Sadly, though, she didn't refer you to another wizard, which would have been handy. But then again, no great surprise. It's not every wizard who can pass you forwards in time to another.
Yeah.
Can't be sure where you're going to be. But a lot to consider there. Going to make himself ahead. I imagine he's going back to his barge to think it all out. What's his plan?
No. I think he wants to process it, but not at the barge. He wants somewhere where he can channel freely, make use of this new energy in him again. I don't know. Would he even get in? So when he was in Ubersreich,
Yes.
he offered his services at a forge.
Yes, he did.
To basically help out.
Yeah.
Would the Golds need any help like that?
You have no idea. That's about the extent of his knowledge regarding that.
Yeah.
We'd certainly give him a different place that he could head to. He's not even sure where the college is, strictly speaking.
Cabbies seem to know.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So have a good wander around the streets till we see ourselves a cabbie.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to drop that down to... What is 7 dice doing, please?
Oh my god. 7.
It's not an 8.
It's not an 8. It's quite a good number.
Yeah, pretty good number. He's wandering the streets of unfamiliar streets, down by the graveyard, all those statues, shrouded figures, skeletons, bones, broken, crumbling walls, roses, so many roses, and indeed the attendant buildings around them, inns, homes, most of which look old and crumbly too. Lots of side streets to wander. One of the great benefits of being a bright wizard is you're a fucking bright wizard, and very few people will do anything overt to you.
Yeah.
Because that would probably be very unwise, and most people in Altdorf know this. Luckily, he's not disturbed. It's a good half hour before eventually he finds himself a cab. Has he got much in the way of cash? Because now's the time to pull it out.
Yeah.
Would you like to go to the Gold College?
Golds, yes.
Right, so Gold College is going to cost him, it's over there, it's going to cost 1 shilling and about 9p.
Cool. He'll throw 2 shillings to the driver.
Nice.
He doesn't like spending money.
No, it's going to cost more than that. Sorry, 2 shillings and 9p.
All right, so he'll throw 3 shillings.
Yeah, totally. Throw that in. Lovely. Our cabbie's happy to go down there. It's a good part of town to be getting yourself the lift from it in turn. The Cold College is a part on the central island. And we can imagine the main big central island with the Imperial Palace sitting there, going all the way down to the great cathedral of
Celestial
Sigmar.
well?
Celestial College is sitting between those. And the Gold College is way at the tip of the island, looking out over the Reichsport.
Oh, nice. You'll know his way home.
And the Gold College spreads out along one of the southern dock areas, I suppose, and hangs over it. It is a gouting building of steam and smoke and, let's just say, pollution for what it actually is that gets pumped into the river from the many forges et al. That the Gold College has. It's fortified. It is unexpectedly golden in general appearance. Detailed work in gold everywhere, although whether it's actually gold or not is to be determined. It is a pretty big building, notorious for its many tall chimneys, which are gouting smoke into the sky. Unlike some of the colleges, this one has a very clear entrance and has a couple of guards dressed in gold armor sitting on the outside. Because, hey, they're not flashy.
Mm-hmm.
One of them has a particularly big beard, which is braided through with gold as well, and a big, huge halberd, which soars up to almost 10 feet in height with a big golden blade. On the opposite side, exactly the same, both blades pointing inwards. The gates themselves are open, and occasionally a large, well, indeed, not just occasionally, right now, a large golden coach passes through with a couple of dun mares pulling it behind. You've arrived at the Gold College. You've never been here before. You can smell the, let's say, forges. It's a quick way to describe all the mixture of smells. And on the inside, you can hear the industry. This place is absolutely chock-a-block full of folk. Wow. Here you are.
Yeah. Evening, lads.
As one looks at you and says, "Are you in? Yeah, I see someone."
No, but I could see someone.
He looks over at the other guard. He looks over at him and says, "Right. So, he says, normally you need an appointment. See one of wizards, magisters, and the like. What's he here for? Sorry, didn't catch your name."
It's Elrick Grunfeld, Bright Wizard.
Guessed as much.
Yeah,
You guessed as much? Another one says, "Yeah, I guessed as much as well." Says, it'll be the uniform. As the other one says, that's what I was thinking. Uniform gives you away. Gives you away.
Very perceptive, yeah.
The other one says, yeah, all those will do. So what do you want?
I was going to offer my services. I've done it before, not here, but down in Ubersreich and help with forges. It's something of a specialty of mine.
He frowns and says, yeah. As he rubs at his head, you saying you look for a job? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
as the other one looks and goes,
offering services, yeah.
Oh. He looks at you a bit, leans on his head. What? You're offering your services? I mean, for what exactly?
Well, I mean, no disrespect to either you fine gentlemen, but it's not really something you'd hire me on for, is it? So,
well, no.
Yeah. So is it not better if I speak to maybe someone in the order?
Looks over the other one. The other one clanks a shrug as he goes, "Oh, I don't know. Honestly, don't know." Yeah. He says,
"I'm not posing any risk. I mean, I'm outnumbered here."
Well, what do you think? And he says, "Oh no, it's not something that happens every day, is it? Someone just turning up saying, here, give us a job." He says, "Yeah, well, we're meant to turn them back, but it's a wizard." He says, "It's a wizard. I mean, someone's going to want to speak to a wizard, isn't they?"
Yeah.
Looks at you. He says, "Oh, come on. What do you think? Yeah, well, you could... Anna, maybe? Oh, Miss... Yeah, all right. You stay there."
No worries.
He says, as he sticks out his hand and makes a couple of clanking movements. So we'll see it, maybe. If not, looks back.
Just out of curiosity, how do you go to the toilet?
He says, slowly.
Is there a release?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's down below.
Right.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah, it takes a bit of pushing to get out, though. And I can't do it.
Is that not just a diet thing, though?
No. He says, all we've got to go do is get your squire to come in underneath and unhook it. You can't do it with your gauntlets on. Just can't get into the thing. It's a little tie right underneath there.
Right.
He says, I mean, you wouldn't want it to rust or anything, would you?
No.
Oh, no, you wouldn't want that to happen, would you? Shut it.
Has his rusted?
You got stuck in it, didn't you? Bloody thing was welded together.
Well, the guy I travelled with was also suited and booted like yourself, and his tummy wasn't great, and it wasn't watertight, shall we say.
Oh, shit.
Literally, yeah.
He says, oh. You sit and chat away for a while. They're amiable. They chat too. Until eventually, a woman comes out. She's wearing one of the least wizardly looking outfits you've ever seen. Some part of you expected someone dressed in metal. Another part of you expected someone dressed in overalls. Yeah. No. She's wearing a pair of black tights, gold slashes in them at the knees, which is nice. Relatively dull middle class. It's not even really a tunic. It's more of a shirt, you suppose. She's got a loose coat over that. The amount of gold or yellow in her is almost none. You're not even convinced that she's actually a wizard, but maybe with a perception test.
4 successes.
Yeah, you're not convinced she's a wizard. As she looks at you and says, why have I been called here? And looks at you. Hello. Looks at you down, looks at your keys. Wizard. What's your name?
I'm Elrick Grunfeld. Pleasure to meet you.
Grunfeld.
Anna?
Hannah.
Yes. Sorry, it's the accent.
Lady Magister.
Pleasure to meet you, Lady Magister.
Says, better. Why are you here? Why is he here? Wants a job.
Yeah.
Says, you want a job?
I find myself
Go
in a
to the
loose end.
regiments. Yes, they'll provide you with a job. We're right with it.
Well,
you call me down to you're not supposed to just let any old person. Not any old person. He says, this is a wizard. Looks at you. Do you mean you want a job?
I think a little bit has been lost in translation. I'm not looking for a job. I'm not wanting to be employed here, but I find myself at a loose end and I could offer services.
Well, what sort of services do you intend to offer, young man?
Well, when I was in Ubersreich, I helped out with local forges. I basically ran their forges for them.
You ran forges?
Well, my wind helps fires, helps the forges go hotter, helps them make, I don't know, purer metal. That's where I'm at a loss. That's where I bow to your knowledge. But how often do you get a bright magister or a wizard offering actually? And I'm good.
He says, actually, that is a fair point. Your college is notorious for its insular thinking. Interesting proposal. And what is it that you're seeking in return? Nobody does anything for free, I think you'll find.
No, I mean, in knowledge, it'd be interesting. I have found myself in need of not understanding your whim, so to speak, although I did test well in it. It's more so the knowledge of forging metal.
Well, you are not a typical member of your particular order. Is this a joke? Is this some sort of bet? It's quite common that there's a certain ribaldry that is liked by your order. Is this some form of witticism that I don't quite understand?
I don't think their wit goes that high to...
It seems somewhat against logic that you would be presenting yourself in such a circumstance without reason, so one must ask immediately, what is your reason, Wizard Grumfeld? What is your reason? I require to understand it. If I don't understand it, I can't simply let you within my college on a whim.
That's
particularly
fine.
Given it's most likely to be some form of joke. I believe this is some form of joke.
I'm in search of knowledge. The colleges are a great place for it. I've just been up at the Amethysts.
What are you, some sort of college touring wizard?
No, I was getting one of my keys to become a Magister.
I don't trust this one bit. Would you trust it? Oh, for me. I am addressing you. He seems all right.
What would I, if it was a joke?
We had a good chat, didn't we? We discussed a certain issue that he said, what? What is it? I require to know. Nothing, says the other one.
He's rusted his greaves.
Well, you should take better care of your armor. Yes, ma'am.
That's one of the things I'd like to learn. Not how to rust them, but how to care for them. I travel with a group who have often mistreated their equipment. It's not a joke. It'd be funnier if it was. I'd probably have some kind of outfit on.
Well, you are Grumfeld. Almost everything is a joke to them.
Why does everyone know my family?
Because they're everywhere like a plague, she says.
I can't really dispute that. Is there any here?
Let's see here. I'm really unsure whether there is anything to be gained from here. But if you are willing to deploy actually on command, I'm sure I could find some use for that in my current circumstances.
Point the way.
I'm suspicious, he says. But if you're willing to blindfold yourself, I'm willing to take you in.
During the whole thing?
No, when we take you to my forges.
Right. Yeah, it's fine.
I don't trust you one bit, but...
Bring the guards.
I don't trust you one bit. We'll see where this leads, he says. We'll see where this leads. And when we find the truth of this particular matter, the only thing that would be correct would be to follow it up with a suitable punishment, don't you think?
You can tell...
She looks at you as she narrows her eyes.
My master is Reichheld. You can tell her she'll kick the shit out of me.
Your master's a woman? I don't know if I've ever seen a woman from your college.
She's the only one. Only master, that is.
This is a joke. Shrugs. Oh. Well, if he's willing to blindfold himself, let's get him blindfolded. And through that process, Elric eventually finds himself working unexpectedly in a very hot office at the rear end of the college, which has a view over the Reich. The colourful, multicoloured pollutants coming from the college can be seen staining the waters beneath. A pair of stilts, metal, attached to this particular forge. Well, keep it from sinking down, I suppose. You're not entirely sure how you got here, but the room itself is unlike the outside that you've seen, particularly unimpressive. It's very rustic, with shelves filled with jars, filled with all manner of different alchemical numbers and symbols. She doesn't work her forge. She sits down at her desk and writes letters, as others work her forge. To her, almost orchestration. She points, she tells people to take things out, she's constantly writing, looking up, and saying, remove that, please, until you hear that bell ring. You're finished? You? And then looks at you suspiciously. I would have you channel into there. And she looks at you like you're about to explode.
Just here.
There.
Right.
Into a piece of metal.
Like, oh, 10?
Well, 10.
10? 6 successes.
Sweet. It glows.
I can probably go hotter.
Do so.
Just one more success.
Charm test, please.
Where's it gone? 4 successes.
Oh, sweet. 4 successes. You got attractive as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. She takes to you. And it turns from being point, do, you do this, you do that, into a do this. And she's just constantly, effectively, using you for things just to see how it all works. Finding it utterly compelling and fascinating, particularly because you're doing what you're told. She finds this to be almost extraordinary. Almost. Now, the question is, do you wish to maintain this for some time? Or are you just here for the day?
He reckons he's got a couple of days.
He's got a couple of weeks before Gerhardt does his
oh, yeah, it was weeks, wasn't it?
It's a couple of weeks, yeah.
Yeah, keeps him out of the way. Keeps him out of the city. In terms of if he's staying here, if they can lodge him. And yeah, he doesn't have to go near the Brights.
No, doesn't.
And he occasionally will have to leave to check in on the barge.
Yeah. Sounds good. Right, so we will conclude that part with Eberman, is her name, Lady Magister Eberman. She has a total of 17 apprentices. And that's a lot of apprentices. None of them look like apprentices to his view. They just look like young people who are working her forge. And 10 of them work the forge. The other 7 work in the next office where they're doing alchemical experimentation.
So during the whole thing, he is trying to like strain his senses, although I guess he is channeling at the same time, but he's trying to see, is he seeing flows of Hammon?
Now, Hammon! Hammon is a difficult wind for him to perceive.
He has perceived it in the
But
past.
it's not that difficult. It's heavy and redolent in all the metals around it. And it just sits there. It's not like the other winds.
Right, so it's not like flowing between the apprentices.
Yeah, no, not at all. It just is. And it's everywhere. And every time there's a strike, it passes on or moves up. Every time there's a strike, it moves on. It doesn't flow, it doesn't chunk. It almost falls and splashes at points. Particularly when the hammer is struck down and bits of the wind just clunk into the metal around it. They fill the anvil every time with a strike, and it gets hotter, and strike, and it gets more, and strike, and it gets more, until eventually all of that striking is put back into the metal that's hit, and it suddenly floods, and the metal, sometimes of which you're on the receiving end of, gets almost impossible to lift. It's so heavy. As it's charged. It's got what needs to be inside it. It's fascinating. As the wind is being punched out of and then brought back into it, punched out of it and brought back into it, then quenched in oils, quenched in alchemical ingredients. You're on the edge of a weapon-making forge, as she is attempting to, as she quite freely admits 4 days later. We're on the process of making simple frontline weaponry, she says, that should be effective against those who would dare use magic against the Empire. It should pass through any basic warding, for example. The heavy magic. Come on.
So it's like infused through the blade? Or the haft, or...
Your college does not care too much for internal matrices, does it?
I don't even think I know what that
I
means.
would recommend, if you are going to be discussing my wind, says, use the epithet chamon. You don't want to accidentally do something you don't intend to. That would be criminal.
Oh, of course, of course.
She says, be careful. But since you asked, she is, by her very nature, a teacher. She can't help herself. She has so many apprentices and she's constantly telling them what to do, and you've somehow inveigled your way into her little circle, and you are presenting something that she finds fascinating, and she's never had an opportunity to investigate herself. By the end of week 2, it's all about trying to trap Actuary inside the metal. Can it be done? Because Actuary is repelled by the metal. The metal attracts, come on, not the Actuary, but can it be bound within? By the end of week 2, the answer is yes.
Cool.
It's not much. It's like a thin strand of Actuary that has been captured inside the metal. And the only way to do it was to fold the metal over a different core. And through the beating, it starts to spread that core out in different ways. She finds this fascinating. As she folds and folds and folds again in an attempt to build a matrix, using the thin strand of Actuary that had been kept within it, that you have to constantly channel heat into to keep it going, and an attempt to bind it round with metal so it can't escape. It fails, ultimately. The concept, though, of the matrix that's being built begins to make sense to him. It's not so much that it's this ephemeral, strange, magical thing. They are literally just beating it into a particular shape, folding the metals in particular ways to cause the wind through the flows to move in different shapes. And knowing how the shapes move is what causes it to have effect. And if you can beat it into a particular way, you'll be able to cause the Actuary that, in your case, is pinned within it to react and possibly even be released if you channeled into it, which means you could potentially cause it to emit a fireball. The concept makes sense. I mean, he can even see how it could work. It's just doing it could take years of figuring out. And it's funny to him because he knows that the greatest artificer of his college, Hruin, another Talabiklander, he was known. The sword of Hruin, the very spell of Sword of Hruin, is based off the weapon he created. It's a manifestation of it in many respects, and that in and of itself fascinates him. It's a spell you know, as I recall.
Yeah.
Which means you're aware of the flow that's required. Was it just copied off the blade? If so, could you just beat that into, fold it into? You need to know how to smith to do that. But it is fascinating. Huh. Hruin, who made many a magical artifact, sadly died on the battlefield. He was the Supreme Patriarch of the 8 Colleges of Magic at the time, and his cloak is to this day worn by the current Supreme Patriarch of the 8 Colleges of Magic, Cyrus Gorman. He was an artificer. An unparalleled artificer of the... barely say artificer. He was an arty-farty. Yeah. He was an artificer. And an unparalleled one that the Bright College just simply has never had a match for again. But the concept of what they're doing here doesn't seem beyond you. It makes a sort of sense. The only question is, can you get her to give you a book that explains it? And we're going to sum this section with a charm test.
Oh, you fucker. He's got to be, like, cool with her now.
He's pretty cool. I'll give you the advantage. You've done well. You've done the right thing. You've got on with her. You passed your last test. I think that very much justifies advantage.
He gets 5 successes.
Oh! At the end of your tenure inside the Gold College, you are presented with a book. It's not the largest book. It's bound in yellow leather, and in black writing on the front is the thaumaturgical applications of Chamon into the... exactly how they're going to phrase this on that one. It will be into the material matrix. And it is a treatise on smithing techniques and how to hold the winds of magic within metal. Often, many of the tricks that it provides are using other substances that are held within it, that are folded into it, and then manipulated, and then punched down, then manipulated and rebeat. And it's clear as he's sitting back on the barge sometime later, he's going to need to learn a lot about smithing. If he's going to have any chance at understanding much of this, a whole host of different techniques are being referred to as if you know them already. And you just don't. It's like, I have to do what and quench it how and do the what now? Not his language, but the actual concepts held within. The best bit is, they matched what he expected them to be. It feels sort of intuitive.
Nice.
And that just leaves him feeling a little bitty happy.
He's found something. He's found a purpose.
We shall end this lovely little tale of Altdorf City on his second last visit back to the barge, because apparently someone's been looking for him. He is told by Gerhardt that someone came round who he was studying for his exam. Greta is the one that spoke to him. A rather charming man. Jade College, although he tried to pretend he wasn't.
Did he talk like me?
Yeah, he tried to pretend that he wasn't from Talbot when he failed. His accent kept coming through. Yeah, he did.
Right.
Not
Name?
that he wanted. I'm not sure he gave the true one.
Well,
Johann.
Johann.
Yeah, I'm pretty convinced it was a lie.
Bit dodgy.
He thought he was charming. He very much thought he was charming. Black hair, that helps.
Does
Bit of a
he?
beard.
So Dan's struggling to remember. I don't know if he wrote it down. Who was the lad who led the moot? Who is Talther's son?
Talther.
Talther. Does it sound like?
It very much does sound like it could be him.
Okay, I think he's something cousin or great uncle, maybe. I don't know.
Looks nothing like you.
Well,
at least I wouldn't have said he looks like you. Who can say for certain? How are you feeling? You look happier today.
I feel all right. I feel I've been able to do some stuff while here that I didn't think I would have.
Didn't have a chance to speak to you before. How was it up at the Amethyst College? How was she?
By she, Marguerite. She didn't seem like she was going to enjoy it. Has she come back at all?
No, she's not returned yet.
No, she dropped me off. I had to meet another one of the Magisters there, but
at least I didn't see her return.
She seemed to have hesitation, and maybe it would take a while for her to get what she needed done.
Well, that's a concern. I might send a letter up to them because we're going to be leaving in a few days.
Yeah, it might be worthwhile. Maybe even visit. I don't know if they'll let you in though.
I'll go with the letter first. Probably the best route. Maybe I can convince Gerhardt to send a letter. No, that would be just as bad. None of us are particularly good.
Hmm.
At least you're not wanted. Fancy writing a letter?
Who's wanted?
Well, most of
Well,
us.
no, I suppose silly question,
Just
right?
looks at you.
Yeah. I forget sometimes.
Keep up.
Yeah,
We're all wanted.
I can write to.
You escorted her there. Someone will have noticed it. It's not a surprise. You could perhaps. Do you know anyone there?
The Magister I met.
Well, perhaps write a letter to her and see if you can get wind of what's going on, or alternatively.
See what you did there?
I didn't. That was a mistake. I'd like to be so sharp. I'm not. And determine whether we need to do something to either get her back or just determine that we're leaving her. I don't want to leave her.
I can write a letter.
That'd be a good start. Thank you. So, writing a letter.
Yeah.
Dear Fraulein Dreets.
Sorry about not pumping you. Where's Marguerite? What
okay,
up with that?
do you have compose?
He does not have compose.
Of course he doesn't.
So he will realise that, and in the past, Amenawite has helped him.
She's not here at the moment, no.
Greta.
Yes. You don't want me to write it for you, do you? Do you want me to dictate?
I can dictate, and you put it into smart words.
I'll dictate, you write it.
Yeah.
She does have compose. 8 successes.
Nice. Wait, how do you spell?
C-H-A.
Okay.
As you write yourself a nice letter, that gets all sent off. It's 2 hours later when the previous visitor arrives. Definitely Talther. No doubt at all. He is wearing a mixture of green and white, and he could not look more like someone who's trying to pretend that he's not a Jade Wizard if he tried. He's definitely looking middle class. It doesn't help that he's carrying a long, slightly gnarled wooden staff.
What? Why even try?
He baffs and things. Yes, looks at you and says, "What do you mean? Why even try?"
I just dress normal.
How you doing? As he jumps down and gives you a hug.
How you?
He says, "Fuck, you're hot."
Can't help it, really.
Tiny little red whale.
Tiny singe.
Look at that.
You'll be fine in 2 minutes.
I'll not be fine. Look what you've done to me.
Let me watch it now.
And it does indeed go.
Yeah.
Good. 5 heartbeats of pain.
How
you doing, lad?
Getting by. Have you seen Ramrong lately?
He sent me a letter.
Have you seen him lately?
No. I'm here because of him.
Right. What's he after?
Looks round. Maybe we talk somewhere a bit more quiet, eh?
Should we go off the barge?
Guys, maybe go down. Have you got somewhere we can go?
We've got rooms, but it's right. We can go down.
Where it's cabin.
Well,
he smiles.
I don't know if it counts as a cabin. Store cupboard.
I'll do.
Yeah.
He says, and he's there. Clunk, bottle, and then clunk, clunk. A couple of little metal cups.
No, I don't have a table, so we'll have to go on the ground.
He says,
on the deck. No, it's not a deck when it's below, is it?
To the old green.
To the mother.
Click. Right, so he was telling me that he sent you with a fella.
Aye, Nordlander.
Right, so he and that fella, they've been doing things. I don't know if you know. Well, when he was doing things, he might have left something inside him.
How so?
Well, you know, to make him a bit talkative.
Okay.
So I've come along to see what's going on because he was pretty suspicious of him. He was acting all, this and that.
So, this guy, I don't know how to really say this. He's a secret police. He basically polices
He's
the
right
wizards.
guard, I think. Is that right?
No. This is not older, but more secretive. They police the colleges.
Not older?
Yeah.
So how old are we talking?
Back to the 200, 300 years.
Oh, that's older than the Race Guard. They're quite new.
But yeah,
I think they are.
He knows more than he maybe let on, even to Ramrong. But for some reason, he spoke to us.
Right, there you are.
Yeah.
Ramrung said that, well, you've been Ramrung him.
I mean, I may have had a go myself.
You did not know.
Why not?
And he smiles. Right.
It's rare enough that someone would be able to.
And he could now.
That's it.
Right. Oh, and you know that because you've been with Ramrung. I see. That's clever, that is. Have they not fixed that for you yet?
Not yet, no.
And you know you can fix that.
How?
Right. Here. It's quite easy. It says, get your hands. Right. Now, what I want you to do is feel the green. Get your feet down. And he moves his bare feet.
He's in his bare feet, yeah. He's on the boat.
Totally.
Yeah.
And he puts it. Feel it in the wood. Right, there's still some life down there. Do you feel it?
Aye.
What you need to do is get some of that up, and you pull it up into your legs, and then you pull it right up into your hips, right about there.
The life.
And then
he's shifted.
He says, "Yep." And if you're not pulling very much of it now. You don't do this very often, do you?
No.
You need to do it more often. You're going to get stuck in your wind. Here we go. Right. So, do yourself a channeling test, won't you?
What is he channeling?
Gyron.
Oh, it's a fail.
That's a fail.
He's got no more fortune.
As he looks at you. You see, that's what I'm talking about. You're not doing this enough. You need to get it into your hips.
I know. You said it to me last time, but it's...
Get it into your hips.
It's easy when you have one wind, isn't it?
He says, don't know what you're talking about. Right, there we go. Here we go. And you feel the wind moving up your legs slightly. That'll cause a stern in you now. Now, try it again yourself. This time, start drawing it in yourself. Just stop trying to fight it. You don't do what you do with your bright wind. You just got to let it flow. It's got its own life. It'll go with you. Just let it. And it shimmers up your legs. Oh, you feel it. Oh, it's into your blood. And you feel a sudden whoosh as it hits your circulatory system. And boom, boom, as it starts running through. There you go now. Now, stop that. You've just let it go. No. Hips.
Right.
Get it down between your hips.
Try again.
Do your test.
One success again.
He looks at you.
Yeah.
You're bad at this, aren't you?
I'm not practiced.
Oh, come on, right. Wait a minute. Let me see what you're doing. Right, so what you're doing is you're fighting it and trying to grab it. Just let it flow there. And as it tries to go somewhere else, instead of trying to stop it, give it something to curve around.
Like redirect it.
Try that. Move it back in itself. As it flows out.
No.
Oh, do you crit it?
That's a good.
Oh, I thought you messed up.
Crit it, but 6 successes.
6 successes, lovely. Yeah. As suddenly it goes in, and it's the biggest case of afternoon wood. As whoa! There you go. Keep it there. There you go. You're fine. That's it.
What? That's all I have to do. I have to be on a boat.
No.
I have to straddle my hips.
No. Aye. You need to get yourself all grounded, get it into place, and if you can hold that there, that'll stop it. It'll still be hot, but it'll be cooler.
All right, you'll jump and see if he breaks contact.
Go for it. Do yourself a channeling test. No, cool test in this case.
Cool. 3 successes.
Yep. And yeah, it's all held. It's held in your hips. It feels cool and weird and swirly, and definitely like things need to be done.
Right.
It does feel oddly liquid in the middle. Oddly liquid.
Oh no, how I feel.
Yeah, it's leaving you a little bit sneak hippie.
I had my sea legs, but no.
Yeah, quite. As he's like, there you go. Practice that. Maybe do that every day.
And the other thing as well with it, or just do this for a while.
I do both. And why wouldn't you?
Sometimes on the sea, you've got limited choices, right?
Who cares? There's always a choice. And there's always Fraulein Pam and her 5 sisters.
It's been a long time.
Is the point.
Yeah.
I know the Fraulein very well.
I can tell.
Now her sister, the other sister, Fraulein's sister, not so well. She doesn't have the same, knack.
Not the dexterous.
See, you understand. Right, so that's what you do. That'll sort you out. No one told you that.
No.
What are they doing?
I don't know.
It's almost like they don't know.
Where are they going to teach me?
Ramrung should have shown you that.
Ramrung said about 5 words to me before I got my
What a
license.
fucking country is he?
I don't really know him.
Well, you don't really know me either.
I don't know. Yeah, I was.
He told me to
Held
look out
away.
after you, though. Are you alright?
I'm doing a lot better.
Alright, good. Now we got you sorted there. Maybe you do even better yet.
Might release some of the tension.
He says, there we go.
Yeah.
No. He says, not my own relatives. Maybe my mother. I'm lying. No, I'm lying.
I don't know if
He
I.
says, no, I'm lying. My mistress. No, my mistress.
Okay.
Obviously, I was with her every night. I had no choice, really. I
Yeah.
mean, no choice. It's not like I was complaining. Let's
No,
drink.
I remember.
He says, you know what it's like back then? I have to ask, were you with Maver?
Was I with who?
Maver, is that her name? Maven, that's her name.
I was raised by her, but I wasn't with her.
Right.
No.
That's good. That's good. I heard she was a bit rotten inside.
I think I've been lucky enough not to hear anything about that.
Or witness it.
Maybe if I think a bit too much, I might start remembering things.
Right, on that, I'm going. He says, you enjoy the rest of that. And if you see Ramrung, tell him he's a cunt.
Okay.
For me, you can say, Talther says you're a cunt. Where are you going next?
We're off. We're going to Middenheim.
Middenheim.
Yeah. I know, but I've not really wanted to go anywhere. But there's stuff that needs doing up there.
All right, you are. Middenheim. Fucking cold, you know.
Yeah, I'll be all right.
Looks at your uniform.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll stop somewhere and get fur-lined stuff.
I've been there. I'll give you a word of warning. There's a lot, and I do mean a lot of gar. It's wild up there. It interferes with the winds all over the place.
Oh, I did not know that.
I do mean all over. I will say though, that mother, I was up there. It was a while back, but she was quite convinced that something's been done to the place. Barely a spirit alive in the place. Not up in the city anyway. Everything kind of felt dead.
Since when? Like,
I don't know.
always? Is this a
Who
while
knows?
ago?
This was when she went up. I couldn't see a thing. I had no idea what she was talking about.
But when was this?
Oh, when were we there? That must have been about 10 years back.
Right.
It's when the war was on, you know, in Nordland.
Okay. So we're going because we believe the person I travel with has been targeted by cultists, and it seems to be that. This seems to be a hub for them.
Good luck with that. He
I
says,
think we'll need all the luck we get, yeah.
actually then, poured himself another drink.
Nah.
I'll have one more before I go. You can keep the wee cups. They were a gift to me, and I hate them. He says, they're so metal.
I prefer wood, I suppose.
Always.
Yeah.
He says, on that, he leaves, because indeed, he does prefer wood. It's the small things that keep us happy.
Yep.
And on that, we bring Elrich's tale in Aldorf City with good old Talther who prefers wood to an end. Until next time, bye!
Oh, the